I caught my fiancé hooking up with my sister while I'm pregnant, and tomorrow I'm exposing everything at our family gathering. I never expected life to look like this. 2 years ago I was in a different mindset. I was focused on little things. Back then I felt so comfortable in the day-to-day routine that I overlooked how fragile my future really was. He and I met about 3 years ago. At first I was not ready for anything too serious. I already had my daughter and was juggling everything alone. But little by little I let my guard down. He seemed so patient and steady, helping me with my little one without having any children of his own. I fell for him slowly, then all at once, trusting that I was finally building the loving family I dreamed of. He encouraged me to stop using protection and birth control, which led to this pregnancy. For example, he would often say things like, "We should think about having a child someday," even saying he considers my daughter as his own, and gradually we reduced our use of birth control methods. This pressure made me hopeful about expanding our family, but now I realize that he wasn't genuinely ready or honest about his intentions. His sudden withdrawal has left me feeling manipulated and unprepared for this situation. That was before last month. That was before the positive pregnancy test. When I saw the result I felt a wave of panic and excitement. I wanted to believe he would stand by me, even be happy about the chance to add another piece to our family. But he did not seem happy. He grew silent. He told me he was not actually ready for another child. He was worried about money and our future. He said maybe we should think about other options. Hearing that felt like a punch in the chest. Now our entire routine is off balance. We barely talk. My daughter has noticed and keeps asking why he is suddenly so sad or quiet. I try to stay calm for her, but my mind is spinning. One moment I am crocheting while she colors, and I glance at him hoping for some sign of warmth, but nothing. He looks away or changes rooms, leaves the house without explaining. The next minute I feel tears spill out. I remember how alone I felt raising my daughter by myself until he came along. Am I back to that? Will I have to do it alone again, only this time with 2 children? I love him, but his distance hurts me more than I can express. The shock of it is unreal. He was the one who used to laugh with me. He used to place a gentle hand on my daughter's shoulder when she learned new things for the first time and teaching her. That sweet playful version of him seems to have vanished overnight. I am stuck, not only fearing the practical details of a new baby but also grieving the deep sense of safety I once had with him. I keep replaying the moment he told me he did not want another child. I feel betrayed, embarrassed, lonely, and so sad. I do not know how to move forward. He rarely shares what is going on in his head. All I see is a giant wall between us, which might be permanent or might come down only if he decides he wants to let it. I do not have grand answers, just confusion and an endless swirl of questions. My daughter is the light of my life, and I feel guilty for letting my sadness leak into her world. But how do I pretend everything is fine when it is not? How do I plan for a new child when the father is suddenly distant? It is like the ground beneath me is crumbling, and I do not have a safe place to stand. It helps a little to write it all down. Maybe someone will understand. Maybe it will remind someone else they are not alone. Right now I am just hurting, missing a version of my life that I thought was guaranteed. If you made it here, thanks for reading. I hope that, one day, I can share a better update with you. Until then, I am just trying to get through the day without letting the heartbreak swallow me whole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, respectfully, if he's told you with his words and actions how he feels. He knows what it's like when they're here from his relationship with your daughter. I wouldn't waste any more time waiting for him to magically change his attitude. Reply, I understand how it feels to look back and realize we never truly hashed out the details when it mattered, and now everything is up in the air. It hurts even more when the person you trusted decides to withdraw right at the moment you need them to speak and be honest. It is like I'm walking on shaky ground without any clear sense of how to stand firm. I have tried so many times to read his cues, thinking he was coming around since he made comments about maybe someday having another child. But suddenly, once I saw that test result, his whole demeanor changed. Now he is cold. He barely acknowledges what is happening, and it leaves me wondering why he cannot just speak plainly. He never tells me, yes I want this or no I do not. He leaves me guessing, waiting, and I feel like a fool for hoping. It is such a lonely place to be, stuck in this limbo where I cannot openly celebrate a baby or even properly mourn the loss of the relationship I thought we had. Deep down, I still keep a spark of hope that he might finally step up and realize we are in this together. But I cannot count on that. The hardest part is knowing I may have to do this alone. That realization has been hitting me every time I see him slip into another room, every time he turns away from any talk about our future. It makes me feel so isolated, like I'm just a problem he wishes would vanish. I should consider about her fiancé's priorities and needs. Did they have conversations about their future together on expanding the family? Reply, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts. We did have a conversation about having more children, but it didn't lead to any clear decisions. Over the past year, his actions and comments gave me hope that we might consider expanding our family. However, he doesn't have a child of his own and never verbally expressed his true feelings about having a child, so I don't expect him to understand, and now it starts to feel like her behavior towards my child was just good at first to gain my trust and then it just changed. His sudden change in behavior left me feeling confused and hurt, and it's clear now that he wasn't honest about his intentions. Commenter 2, over the past year, his actions and comments gave me hope that we might consider expanding our family, never verbally expressed his true feelings about having a child. Literally, what did you talk about, because this makes zero sense. Don't have another kid unless you don't mind being a single mother. Reply, his behavior initially made me believe he was supportive, but now I see that he was misleading me all along. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts. To clarify, he encouraged me to stop using birth control and he stopped using condoms, which led to this unexpected pregnancy. This pressure made me feel manipulated and unprepared for this situation. Over the past year, his actions and casual mentions gave me hope that he was considering a child with me. However, his sudden withdrawal and lack of honest communication revealed that he wasn't genuinely interested continuing our relationship in that capacity. Accepting that he won't be there to support us has been incredibly painful, but I'm focusing on what's best for my daughter and myself. I'm determined to stay strong and navigate this situation one day at a time, even though it means potentially an abortion. Original post. I have reached the edge of what I can bear. I am 28, and have been with my fiancé for just over 3 years. We live together with my 4-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. 3 weeks ago, I found out I am pregnant again. At first, I was overjoyed, naive enough to think we were finally creating the stable family I had always wanted. He grew distant the very next day. He ignored my excitement, started coming home late, and kept his phone glued to him at all times. I began noticing strange calls and those discreet social media notifications that vanished too quickly. My gut told me to investigate. I almost wish I had not. He has been secretly hooking up with my older sister behind my back. She was the one I always tolerated, even though she drags drama wherever she goes. She would hug me when relatives were around, pretend to be the supportive older sibling, then turn around and badmouth me to her friends. I never imagined she would crawl into my life this deeply. It felt like a slap in the face to read their messages calling me clueless for not noticing. He told her about the pregnancy before he was honest with me about his doubts, and they joked about how stressed I would be raising another child. My sister bragged that our entire family thinks she is the more interesting and more popular sibling. Meanwhile, I am just the quiet one who apparently deserves this. I do not know if they are still meeting in secret or if they just get a kick out of hurting me. My fiancé denies everything whenever I confront him, says I am hormonal, that my imagination is running wild. My sister keeps messaging me, telling me I should keep my mouth shut and stop being dramatic. I am done hiding my anger. My mother wants me to talk it out calmly, but how do I fix something so broken I can barely breathe? My fiancé thinks I will just accept this. He is counting on me being too shy or too pregnant to do anything. Tomorrow, I plan to blow this up in front of the entire family. We are supposed to have a casual get-together at our parents' house, ironically to celebrate my pregnancy announcement. I will gather my phone logs, the screenshots, and all those humiliating texts they send each other. Once all the relatives have settled in, I will put everything on display. No more secrets. I might burn everything in the process. I might lose any chance of a pleasant co-parenting scenario. But I feel like I have no other way to reclaim my dignity. I have been crying non-stop for days, my nerves are shot, and all I get from my fiancé is either silent treatment or insults. My sister taunts me and acts like I am worthless. I see no reason to protect them anymore. I do not know what happens next. Maybe they will run off together. Maybe they will lie or twist things around to make me look insane. My fiancé has not contributed much financially, so I worry about affording my daughter and this potential new baby on my own. Yet I cannot pretend everything is normal. I have to protect whatever self-respect I have left. I am going to set my entire world on fire tomorrow. Part of me feels terrified, the other part is numb. Regardless, I am done letting them tiptoe around my heart. If they want my silence, they should have kept their betrayal better hidden. Let everyone see exactly who they are. That is all I have left. Top comments. Commenter 1, good luck. With a sister like that you don't need any enemies. Commenter 2, OMG, please make a PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides or whatever. You going to want everybody to get a real good view of all the information you've gathered. Commenter 3, do you have any audio of them saying these things to you? Because I would definitely use that too. And have your whole family listen to the entire thing, ideally without your sister or fiancé present, so they can't twist it around on you like that. I'm so sorry that you are going through this, but your sister and, hopefully soon, ex-fiancé are AHs and deserve everything that is coming to them. Update: I am still reeling from what happened. After writing my last post, I spent hours debating with myself about whether I should really go through with exposing them at our family gathering. A part of me was scared I would turn my whole life upside down forever, but I knew I couldn't keep letting them walk all over me while pretending everything was fine. I called my mom beforehand to let her know I was breaking up with him and to prepare her. When I arrived at my parents' house, everyone was already there, including my ex-fiancé and my sister. My mother tried to pull me aside, whispering that we should talk first. I stayed calm, walked straight into the living room where everyone was sitting, and asked them to listen. They looked confused. My sister immediately rolled her eyes, and my fiancé mumbled something, probably hoping I would stay silent. I started reading the most shocking parts of the messages I found between the two of them. They mocked me, joked about me not noticing anything, and said I deserved this. I had timestamps proving he was sneaking around with my own sister while I was at home with my daughter. My sister stood up and accused me of lying, her voice defensive and low-pitched. But I just kept reading. The messages spoke for themselves. I revealed how he told her about my pregnancy before even discussing it with me and how they laughed about me being stressed raising another child. My fiancé tried to dismiss me, claiming I was overreacting and misinterpreting the situation because of my emotional, pregnant state. He even blamed my mental health. By then, he stormed out of the room, and my sister started crying. My dad stared at the floor, silent, while my mother looked horrified. Finally, my sister snapped and stormed out, yelling that I was a dramatic liar who blew everything out of proportion. Now the fallout begins. My fiancé, or rather, my ex-fiancé, has been texting me non-stop. One moment, he says he is sorry, the next, he blames me for humiliating him. He shows zero genuine remorse. He is just mad that I exposed him. My sister calls me horrendous names, says I ruined her image, and refuses to take responsibility. She insists I am making up drama. Honestly, I do not even know if they are still seeing each other or blaming each other for being caught. Either way, their secret is out, and that is all I wanted. I am now talking to a lawyer because this man barely contributed financially before. I have to protect my daughter and ensure I never have a child with him. Only the thought of raising 2 kids alone is terrifying. I feel numb and heartbroken at times, but I also feel a strange sense of relief. At least everyone knows the truth now. I exposed everything that day in the living room, but at least I am no longer being trampled on in silence. My sister and ex-fiancé can no longer laugh behind my back. Yes, things will probably get messy. They might lie to other relatives, people we mutually know, or twist the story. But I am glad I refused to keep quiet. All I can do now is focus on the positive, talk to my lawyer, and move forward. It will be painful, but I will do everything in my power to build a new future on my own terms, far away from these people. Top comments. Commenter 1, good for you. The new journey ahead will be less toxic and the betrayers will have to deal with themselves. Best of luck to you. Commenter 2, I'm proud of you for going through with it. They hurt you. Intentionally. You owe them absolutely nothing. Anyone in your friend or family group who doesn't see it can fuck all the way off. Such an ultimate betrayal. You deserve peace and love and respect and safety. You'll find it. Keep going. Commenter 3, are you still early enough / in a safe place to think about abortion? I only ask because you are already stressed at the idea of being a single mom of 2, and that you'll be forever tied to the ex, who will more than likely take the kid around your sister poison them against you. Not that it's an easy decision, but it might be the best one to take for your mental health and ability to cut ties quickly. Stories number 2. Aita for being mad at my husband for saying he would pick his deceased wife over me. My 34F husband, 37M, was married once before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23 very shortly after graduating college. She passed away unexpectedly at age 26 from an aneurysm and it obviously devastated him, especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. We got married when I was 31 and he was 34 and have 2 children. Last night, we were at a friend potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She is newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school, college, etc. I had said I never thought I would get married because my luck with men has always been terrible until I met my husband, and I said I felt very lucky to have met him. After a little while longer, my husband brings up his deceased wife. Everyone knows he was married before me and that she passed. He was talking about her and then drops a bomb and goes, if she walked through that front door right now, I'd pick up where we left off. If I am being honest, it felt like someone put my heart into a blender and punched me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, even though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I just felt that if you still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I have never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I am unsure how that feels. But I would never say that in front of my new spouse. After the gathering, we left and I did not speak to him the entire car ride home or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply and that we could talk in the morning once I've calmed down, because I didn't want to say something mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning and I barely slept. He is still sleeping. I'm not really sure what to say or what he will say. Stories number 3. My boyfriend's mother hates me, and I don't know what I've done. My boyfriend's mom seems to hate me, and it's been really hard to deal with. I'm 22, and my boyfriend is 26. We've been together for 9 months, and I moved into his apartment after 3 months of dating. His parents live in a different house, just 30 minutes away from his apartment. His mom visits often, but whenever she does, she completely ignores me or barely talks to me. I've tried to be nice and friendly, but she only gives me one-word answers or acts cold. Today, I made spaghetti from scratch, and my boyfriend loved it. Even his dad said it was good, but his mom refused to eat. When they asked her to at least try it, she got angry. I told them it's fine and not to force her, but it still hurt. She also acts like the apartment is hers, going through every room, including our closet and drawers. I know she's his mom, but I wish she would respect our privacy. She also complains that I spend too much of my boyfriend's money on dresses and heels, which isn't true because I pay for my own things. When I bring up how she treats me to my boyfriend, he just brushes it off, saying, "Don't mind her, she's always like that." When I asked him, "Did your mom treat your ex the same way?" he says he doesn't want to talk about his past relationships. My boyfriend talks a lot about having kids with me, but I don't think I can handle being a part of this family. I'm afraid that if we have a baby, his mother will treat our child badly too. Should I end things with him? He's a really good, funny, and gentle guy, but his mom is a big problem. Comments. Commenter 1. The biggest problem here is that your boyfriend won't stand up for you and tell his mom to treat you with respect. Also, does he stand up for you when she claims that you're spending all his money even though it's not true? Also, he needs to tell her to stop snooping around your house. Reply. He does tell his mom sometimes not to speak to me that way, but then she stops talking to him, and he feels like he has to make her happy again. Whenever she opens our closet and sees my dresses and skirts, she complains that I spend a lot of her son's money. When I tell her that I bought those clothes myself and that some were from promotions, she just rolls her eyes. Commenter 2. That pretty much means he's willing to allow his mother to belittle you just so he can keep the peace. Commenter 3. Well, to be frank, this relationship is doomed. He doesn't care about you enough to stand up to you. And even if you threaten to break up and then he decides to actually address the issue, it doesn't matter. Because why did he wait for an ultimatum? Why did he even wait until you brought it up, instead of being proactive? He should have stopped his mother when he saw her acting this way. His mother going to her adult son's apartment while he's in a relationship and snooping is not normal. Her being this cold towards you also isn't normal. Maybe she's a boy mom and you need to leave ASAP. Just because she being disrespectful is normal, doesn't mean you need to accept being disrespected. And bringing up having kids when you've only been together for 9 months is wild. And if you're going to say the relationship is great otherwise, I can guarantee you it is not. He's a mama's boy, he will also choose her instead of you. You like him, maybe will even grow to love him. But he will never match energy with you. Update, 1 day later. So, like many of you suggested, I search up enmeshment and watched a few YouTube videos some of you DM me about mommy's boys. It was eye-opening and disgusting. I can't imagine a future where his mother constantly intervenes in our lives. Like some of you pointed out, there's even a chance she could turn my future children against me if things stay the same. I want my kids to grow up in a happy, healthy environment. After reading hundreds of your responses, I decided to talk to my boyfriend. I showed him this post, like a few of you suggested, and let him read the comments. He only got through one or two before getting defensive and angry. He said I was being too overdramatic and insisted his mom wasn't doing anything wrong. He even said she only comes over because she cares about him and even accused me of being jealous because my parents aren't as involved in my life as his mom is in his. I got upset and told him, just because she's your mom doesn't mean she can come into our home, open our closets and drawers, and invade our privacy. How would you feel if I brought my parents here and let them go through your laptop, phone, and closet? He got even more irritated and accused me of intentionally trying to piss him off. Then he sarcastically told me to go ahead and bring my family over to do the same thing. I also brought up how his mom constantly judges my clothes and accuses me of spending his money, even though I pay for my own things. I said, you don't even bother to defend me or correct her, he said, these aren't serious issues, you're just making them into a big deal because you want to fight with me. Are you on your period or something? I got mad and said, are you serious right now? Just because I'm upset about your mom's behavior, you're assuming I'm on my period? Is that really how little you think of me? He laughed like a fake laugh and said, calm down, I'll make you your favorite Missy Carbonara. He was so irritating and I told him, I wonder what bad things your mom says about me to other people. Who knows, maybe you even join in with her to mock me, just because I don't understand your language. He's Italian. He didn't even respond and just walked into the kitchen. I followed him and said, you don't even care to see my side of things. If your mom doesn't change her behavior, I'm breaking up with you. I deserve better than this, and I can find another man who's much better than you. That's when he stopped and came to me and grabbed my arm and told me to stop talking about breaking up. He said he loves me too much to let me go and even said his mother loves me too, but she's not showing it, which honestly felt like a joke considering how she's treated me. He promised to talk to his mom, set boundaries, and make sure she respects me moving forward. He also said he wouldn't allow her to go through our room again. For now, I'm staying with him, but if he doesn't follow through, I'll seriously end things. Edit, I've been getting bombarded with DMs saying I'm making a mistake and that I'm foolish for staying, so I just want to say sorry. When he said, he loves me too much to let me go, and he even said other sweet words to me and kissed me, I genuinely thought he meant it in a loving way and didn't see it as a red flag. But after reading all of your responses, I realize now that I was blind to it. I'll be leaving him when he goes to work. Comments. Commenter 1. I second, dip now. Commenter 2. Yeah, I mean, there's red flags all over the place, without even bringing in the mom. He grabbed her arm. Told her not to talk about breaking up. Told her he loves her too much to let her go. That on top of the gaslighting, I'll go as far and say OP is already in an abusive relationship and needs to get out of there. Commenter 1. Dismissed her emotions and concerns with, are you on your period? He doesn't even respect op. Commenter 2. Lady, he grabbed your arm. I'm saying this as a man. Grab your shit and leave. Do not announce shit until you are out. Commenter 3. The whole, he loves her too much to let her go, is what got me. That's terrifying. Reply, at that moment when he said that, I thought he really did love me and didn't see it as a red flag. But now, reading all of your responses saying it's a red flag and terrifying, it's making me realize how stupid I was. Commenter 4. My ex told me this statement, and when I did leave, he beat me so badly I miscarried. Be gone before he comes home, text him you're done, then block him, his mom and his friends/family. And never go back. Stories number 4. Dad, 62M, won't spend Christmas with BIL, 28M, and Mum, 60F, is blaming my wife, 36F. This is a throwaway account as I have work colleagues on my main that I don't want to know about my family drama, and spelling will be rubbish as I'm fuming right now. Obligatory all names have been changed. So, for the backstory, I 36F and married to the love of my life 36FK. We met when we were 17, she was out and proud whilst I was still in the closet, so we didn't start dating until I came out at 21. We got married in 2019 and have an adopted 4-year-old son Jack. This comes in relevant in a minute. My sister 27F Sarah, has a long-term boyfriend 28M Steve who the family cannot stand. They've been together for 8 years and the whole family has hated him from the first time we met him. He is rude, obnoxious, arrogant and all in all a crappy human being. He's also someone that likes to claim that he is just honest, but if someone is honest back to him he flips out and sulks like a toddler. In fact, my toddler is better behaved than him. He isn't abusive to Sarah and doesn't direct these comments towards her, it's just the rest of us. He's actually a good partner to her and treats her well, which is his one redeeming quality. My dad and Kay hate him the most and will do anything to avoid him at family gatherings. Kay usually just ignores him and brushes off anything he says to her as she doesn't like conflict. However, there have been a few occasions that she has said something back, but it's usually said in a joking manner which amuses my dad to no end. My mom is a peacekeeper and will do anything to avoid drama, so she just changes the topic whenever he starts, but she and my grandparents all hate him just as much as the rest of us. Sarah is the only one that obviously doesn't hate him. Our son's birth mother Tess was Kay's best friend, who sadly died in 2021. This was a real shock as she had an underlying heart condition that she didn't know about and simply went to sleep one night and never woke up. Jack had been left alone in his cot all day screaming for his mom before Kay got worried that Tess wasn't answering her texts and went to their house to see if she was okay. She found Jack in his cot and Tess in her bed. We adopted Jack as no one in Tessa's family was in a position to take him in. We raise him as our own, but he knows who Tess is. Obviously this is a very sensitive topic for Kay as it was so traumatic for her and Jack. Now, on to what happened last weekend. It was the anniversary of Tessa's death on Saturday, so Kay, Jack and I went to visit her grave. Kay is always quiet after going to see her, and this time of year is especially hard for her. On Sunday we had a family gatherings at my parents' house. These happen every couple of months as just a catch-up for everyone. At first nothing was out of the ordinary. Kay and my dad were off to the side talking as usual, only I could see that Kay was obviously struggling, so my dad and her went for a walk so she could clear her head. This is something they have done before, so nothing too unusual. However, Steve had an issue with this and asked why they had left and why he wasn't invited to walk with them. I explained that about Tess and Kay just needed a minute. This wasn't good enough for Steve though, and he said she should have gotten over it by now. At this my granddad, who is naturally a very quiet guy, said that his best friend had died over 20 years ago and he still had days where he's missed him so much it hurt. You don't just get over something like that. Steve shut at that. Kay and my dad got back and she was in a much better mood. We all sat down at the table for our late lunch and started chatting. Everything was fine at first until Steve started trying to butt into Kay's conversation with my granddad. When it was obvious that they weren't going to include him, he very loudly stated, "This is bullshit, she's getting all the attention of everyone because her friend died 3 fucking years ago. Get over it for fuck's sake, we're all sick of hearing about it." The whole table went silent and I took one look at Kay and knew she was about to go off on Steve. Only it didn't happen the way I thought. Rather than exploding at him, she looked at him very calmly and said that her and granddad weren't talking about Tess, they were making plans to take him to the Christmas markets, but if you want to be a dick then no problem. She then went on to say to him that everyone in the family hates him because he's a toxic, narcissistic fuckwad. That whenever he can't come to a family gathering the whole family is much happier. That there is a reason he has no friends and that his own family can't stand to be around him. That reason is that he's rotten from the inside out, and that Tess may have only been on this planet for 32 years, but she made a bigger impact on people than he would if he lived until he was 150. That her funeral was rammed with people because she was so loved, whereas he'd be lucky if anyone other than Sarah was at his. After that she got up and went to the back garden and I followed her. A few minutes later my dad came out and said that he'd told Sarah and Steve to leave. We went back inside and Kate apologized to everyone and said she should have just kept her mouth shut. Everyone other than my mum told her what she had done was right and it was about time someone told him. My dad then found it hilarious that a lesbian had been the one to tell him straight, which lightened the mood a lot. We spent the rest of the afternoon there before going to pick Jack up from Kay's mum's house as she had had him overnight on Saturday for us. The reason I'm making this post is that yesterday I got a call from Sarah saying that her and Steve wanted an apology from Kay or they weren't going to Christmas. When I reminded her that we wouldn't be at Christmas either as it our year to spend it with Kay's mum so it made no difference to us, she got really upset saying that she wanted an apology because Kay was way out of line. I said she wasn't and that I wouldn't even contemplate asking her to apologize because I agreed with everything she said and so did everyone else there. She ended the call and I just went back to work. Then today my dad called me and asked if Kay's mum would mind a few more for Christmas as he was refusing to spend it with Steve, so he and my granddad needed someone else to go. Apparently after Sarah had called me she has called mum and started ranting, and my mum had told my dad to get Kay to apologize, which he said no to, and they had an argument, and my dad has now decided that he's done with Steve even if that affects his relationship with Sarah. He's not having it anymore. My mum wants Sarah there, and she won't go without Steve, so my dad is going somewhere else and my granddad agreed with him. I text Kay's mum and she said they were welcome, so now my mum is furious and saying that my dad and Kay are ripping the family apart. So basically this has turned into a shit show. Kay has said she will apologize if I want her to, just to keep the peace, but I've told her no way. Everything she said was true. I just don't know where to go from here, and the people in my life all hate Steve that much that Kay could have physically attacked him and they would all still think she is in the right. So, that's why I'm asking internet strangers who might have had to deal with difficult family members, what can we do to get into a place where we can be around each other amicably? I'm struggling to see a way right now. Wow, didn't realize how long this got until I went to post it. Sorry about that. Comments. This is the issue, that Steve and Sarah don't see anything wrong in what he's done. It was just him being honest. I would be happier for her to apologize if Steve and Sarah admitted that what he said was in the wrong as well. Without that, I'm being stubborn about it. My dad told Kay he will fall out with her if she apologizes as she did nothing wrong. There was no screaming or shouting, she said it very calmly. I feel like I'm stuck between making my mum happy and doing what I believe to be right. If it was just Sarah upset, then I wouldn't care, but it's my mum. She tries so hard to keep the whole family together, and she is devastated by what's going on. If it wasn't for her, then Sarah could go take a running jump for all I care right now. Take the high road and rise above it have been two of my mum's favorite things to say to us over the years. I just feel like enough is enough. He crossed a line this time that he can't come back from. I especially don't want my son around him when he's saying things like that about Tess. This is another issue, as my dad has now said that every time Steve says something inappropriate then he will call him out on it, so I feel like even if Kay apologized then it's not going to end the problem. Steve needs to change his behavior, but my sister won't have it because she enables him too much. Sarah is his biggest enabler, but I hadn't thought about it the way you put it there. My mum thinks with an apology then everything can go back to normal, but it won't, and she doesn't understand that. My dad is done. He said anytime Steve says anything even remotely unacceptable then he will be calling him out on it, and that's only if he allows Steve to be in the same room as him. I do feel for my sister a little bit though, as if she can't come to our parents for Christmas or other holidays, then she has nowhere to go due to Steve's family basically cutting him off. So we are all she has. That's exactly what Sarah said to me, he was just being honest, and my response was that Kay was just being honest as well. My mum is the big issue for me, as she is such a soft person who just wanted everyone to get along, and this is devastating her. The thing is that my dad is done with Steve though, so even if Kay apologized my dad still would want him around and will call him out on his behavior every time he steps a toe out of line. So nothing will get solved, it's gone too far for that. I'm just happy that Jack wasn't there to hear him talk about Tess like that. That's one thing I'm really worried about. We were lucky that he didn't say that in front of Jack this time, but what if he says something in the future? I can't expose him to that. He won't change as he's done nothing wrong, according to him and Sarah. This is why I'm so against any sort of apology. If I hear my mum say take the high road one more time I'm gonna scream. I'm sick of the high road, I've been on it for 8 years. I'm happy on the low road now. About their mom, she thinks that we're the problem for not just apologizing. She never showed any type of favoritism before. If anything, she is closer to me. Her and Dad are at our house every week as my dad is really close to Kay. I think a big part of it is that we have Kay's family to go to on the holidays, whereas Sarah just has us, as Steve isn't in contact with his family, so they would be alone. My mum's parents have now told her that they will be going to my uncle's for Christmas, so it will just be those three. Good luck to my mum dealing with them for the day, she's going to need it. I already don't like Steve being around him, as he has said inappropriate things before, but never as bad as what he said the other day. That's why he was at Kay's mum house Saturday night and all day Sunday. If he had said something like that in front of Jack, I honestly dread what Kay or my dad would have done. I have done, and she just says he isn't that bad and that Jack is too young to understand anything that's going on. He may only be 4, but he knows what's what. He 100% would have understood what Steve was saying. I've told her and Sarah that Steve will never be around him again, even if we do reconcile. I actually think he was trying to get rid of me and Kay and get my family to himself. He's really jealous of how close Kay and my dad are. They travel all over the country for classic car shows, and Steve has moaned that he never gets invited. Well, my mum's parents have now said they don't want to be around Steve and will be spending Christmas with my uncle, and she gets her keep the peace mentality from them. So I'm hoping that even them having enough might wake her up. If Steve is abusive towards Sarah, this is something I have spoken to my family about in the past, but she has always said he treats her like a princess, so I don't know what to think. My mum will never cut her off, so she will always have support there, and I'm happy to see her without him. I just can't subject myself and ask K2 as well anymore. Update. Hi, I know how much this community loves an update, so I thought I would give you one as things seem to be sorting themselves out, kind of. After I wrote my last post, a few things happened in the next couple of hours. First thing was that I spoke to my grandparents on my mum's side. They were there when this all happened, but they're like my mum and just constantly try to keep the peace. That's where she gets it from. They were supposed to be spending Christmas with my mum this year but had changed their minds and decided to spend it with my uncle instead. They have made the decision to not be around Steve either as he causes too much drama. They asked if they could come and see us and Jack on the 23rd before they head off to my uncle's, which I happily agreed to. This really surprised me and it outright shocked my mum, as like I said they are the biggest take the high road type people I've ever met, but even they'd had enough. The next thing that happened was my dad called to let me know that Steve and Sarah had now decided that they want Kay to make a public apology in front of the whole family and admit she was lying and that the family loves Steve. He was laughing as he told me this and called them delusional, so any small chance of a superficial apology went out the window. The third thing that happened was Jack getting home from after school club with a recorder that I am sorely tempted to shove up the teacher's backside. So all in all it wasn't a great day. Through talking to people on here, I also realized that Steve has been trying to push Kay and I out of the family. Organizing trips that he knows we would be able to go on, we wouldn't have gone on them anyway as a weekend away with him sounds worse than a paper cut to the eyeball. And him constantly trying to get my dad away from Kay whenever we are all together. I think this is because he is jealous of Kay and Dad's relationship as they're very close and go on trips to classic car shows several times a year together, usually with my granddad as well. Anyway, things went quiet for a few days until the weekend. Our town has a big Christmas fair that runs from November through December and we always go to it with Mum, Dad, Granddad, Kay's mum. We decided to cheer my mum up a bit to go on Sunday and then out for dinner after. My mum was told that if Sarah or Steve showed up then we would all leave and she promised they wouldn't be there. Things were a bit awkward at first, but settled after a while. At one point Jack got my mum and dad to take him on the giant snow slide and as my mum walked back over to us she had tears in her eyes. I pulled her to one side to see what was going on and she said that whilst waiting in line, Jack had said he was happy Uncle Steve wasn't here. When my mum asked why, he said that Uncle Steve was a bad man. My mum tried to say that he wasn't, but in typical stubborn 4-year-old fashion, he had argued and said he learnt in school that people who say mean things all the time are bad people and Uncle Steve said mean things all the time so he was a bad man and that he didn't like him. There had been a case of bullying in his class a few weeks ago and the teacher had done a lesson on how wrong bullying is, so I think that's where this came from. This finally broke through to my mum. If even a 4-year-old can see what a horrible prick the man is then she had to as well. She said that she felt stuck because she hated Steve and agreed with everything that Kay has said but she loves Sarah and doesn't want to isolate her. I told her I would always be there for her, but I wasn't putting myself, Jack or Kay through being around Steve again and she needed to think about what she wants. Not what I want or Dad or Kay or Jack or her parents or Sarah or Steve, but what she wants. She went quiet and then said that Kay's mum had told her she was welcome at hers for Christmas if she wanted to and that she could decide it on Christmas Day if she wanted. Kay's mum would save her a plate. We went back to the group and a little while later I saw Mum and Kay's mum having a deep discussion whilst walking behind us. Neither will say what they talked about, but Mum seemed a bit happier after their talk. They have also been talking since, as yesterday my mum told me that she will be coming to Kay's mum's for Christmas and they've been talking about going shopping together next week. When Mum told Sarah after calling me, Sarah predictably lost her mind and said that Mum was choosing us over her. My mum told her she was choosing to have a good Christmas rather than being belittled and made miserable all for the sake of Steve and his so-called honesty. Sarah then called me and asked if I was happy that I'd won. She then did the unforgivable and used a few homophobic slurs towards me and Kay and called Jack the bastard of a whore. I ended the call, blocked her everywhere and then let my family know what had happened and that I never wanted to speak to her again. They're all as appalled as I am and my Ganny, Mum's mum, called Sarah and apparently told her she was dead to her as she won't have a bigot in the family. Sarah has been trying to reach out to apologies because she knows she has stepped over the unforgivable line, but I've just kept blocking the fake accounts that she's making on IG. Steve tried reaching out to my dad after this and when he eventually answered Steve tried to say that Sarah was just angry and didn't mean it. According to Mum, Dad ended up giving him a verbal lashing and told him that he was the worst thing that had ever happened to Sarah and our family. My dad has told Sarah he is disgusted with her, but will be there for her if she leaves Steve. Until then, good luck. Mum has gone low contact as well, but wants to keep the door open so that Sarah isn't completely isolated. I had a few people saying that Steve may be abusive towards Sarah, but I really don't think he is. He usually acts like a dick when the attention isn't on him. He knows that when he says dickish things then all the attention is on him and he revels in it. After Sarah's outburst, I just think that they're both toxic and feed off each other's toxicity. She lets him get away with the things he says because she gets pleasure out of watching us all bite our tongues and keep quiet. So, Mum's angry, Dad's angry, our 3 grandparents are angry, extended family are angry and Kay is being my rock, but I can tell she's really angry about what she said towards Jack. I'm just sad and done with it all. At least now I know what she really thinks about Jack, Kay and myself, so there's that. Not the prefect update, but we move on. It will be nice this Christmas to have both sides of the family together for the first time and not have to worry about Steve being a dick, but I'm sad that is how my relationship with my sister has ended. I'm trying to get into the Christmas spirit, but it's a tough one right now. The only things that are make me smile are Kay and Jack being goofy idiots to cheer me up, however the recorder can go to hell. I curse whoever invented the thing, like seriously, fuck you. Thanks for all the support in my original post and opening my eyes to a few things. Maybe internet strangers are the way to go for advice after all. Hope you all have a good Christmas holidays. Comment by OOP, it wouldn't surprise me if they try and turn up to my parents for Christmas, but we won't be there so they won't get far. As long as they stay away from me, Kay and Jack, then I don't care what they do. I really think that he is. I just think that they're both toxic and that's why they work so well together. This isn't the first time that Sarah has been a bitch, but it is the first time that it's gone this far and it will be the last. About their mom, she has tried to make him apologies in the past and he just won't do it. So, she just wanted the easy option which she thought would be Kay apologizing. About their sister, she doesn't think that she is abandoning us, she is saying that we are abandoning her. She doesn't see anything wrong in Steve's actions and is only trying to apologize for hers as she knows that she has gone too far. I don't even think she is sorry, but just trying to make out that she is trying to bring the family back together and I'm stopping her from being able to do it. There is a 9-year age difference between us, so we were never super close, but we always had what I thought was a good relationship. When I went away to uni, I didn't see her as much although we texted daily. We have drifted apart more over the past few years, but I just put that down to us both having our own busy lives. This is why I'm done with her. People blurt out the truth when they're angry and show real feelings. I now know exactly how she feels about me, Kay and Jack, so there is no room in our lives for her. Update 2. This might be a bit anticlimactic, but nothing much has happened. Sarah stopped trying to reach out to me the first week of December after one final message through a mutual friend saying that she loves me and is sorry. My dad has spoken to her once on Christmas Eve to wish her and her alone a Merry Christmas. My mum has spoken to her a few times and had breakfast with her on Christmas Eve, but that's it. As far as I'm aware, Steve and Sarah spent Christmas at their house alone. I do know they went to party on Boxing Day with one of Sarah's friends and Steve was on his best behavior according to someone I know who was there. Maybe he's learning, who knows. I did have a few people asking about why Steve and his family don't speak, and after talking to my dad I found out that Steve said something to his brother's wife at a family gathering, that led to his brother and him having a huge argument that turned physical. After that, Steve's brother refused to have him around himself, his wife or his kids, so Steve's mum and dad told he wasn't welcome to family events anymore and they went very low contact with him. He apparently gets a phone call on his birthday and Christmas, but that's about it. My dad was told this by Sarah, who was there when it happened. As per usual, she tried to downplay the whole thing and say that Steve's family were overreacting. Sounds oddly familiar. We spent Christmas at Kay's mum's house and my mum, dad, and granddad all came as well. My mum and Kay's mum haven't ever really spent a lot of time together, but they have been recently and they've become good friends, meeting up for lunch and going shopping together a few times. It's a bit of an odd pairing as my mum is very straight-laced and Kay's mum was a punk when she was younger and now is really into Wicca and natural healing. Seeing my mum dressed in her Sunday best and Kay's mum in her Sex Pistols hoodie is an odd sight, but they get along great, so that's nice. Christmas overall was good, nothing special, just relaxing. Without Steve being around, there was no need to be on edge. Jack was very spoilt and loved every second of it. I'll be honest and say I miss my sister a lot and part of me really wanted to call her on Christmas Day, but I know I can't have her in my life right now. That's about it really, all very boring. I still want to launch Jack's recorder into the sun, but he loves it and his rendition of London's Burning is improving. Listening to 26, 4, and 5-year-olds enthusiastically try to play London's Burning on recorder at the Christmas nativity play was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That got the biggest cheer of the night, that's for sure. I hope everyone had a great holidays and has a brill new year. Stories number 5. I, 36M, was berated by my GF, 38F, because I wasn't ready to get married after 3 weeks of dating. I met a pretty rave girl at a Darren Styles show and fell head over heels with her. 2 weeks later, after texting, we had our first date on 1/3/25, and the vibes and connection were solidified. From that day on, we were together every hour, outside work, for almost 3 weeks. We lived 20 minutes apart, so we took turns staying over at each other's places, and I would drive her to work, she didn't have a car each morning so she didn't have to take the trolley. I've been single for the past 2 years, and my last relationships lasted 5 and 8 years, respectively. I was cheated on both times, so it's tough for me to trust someone again and be vulnerable. However, with her, I believed she was my ride or die because of our deep conversations about our values and goals in life. We even came up with cute nicknames for each other. I was so happy when we agreed to make our relationship official together. We both shared our darkest secrets and trauma with each other. I told her things that no one else knew. I was fully committed. I wanted her more than anything. My love language is gift-giving and acts of service, so I would cook for us, grocery shop, pay for dinner and drinks, Uber us to events, and even installed a bidet at her apartment. She met my friends and said they were amazing compared to her past friend groups. She was shocked to see how our friends would spend time together without having to get fucked up on drugs be the primary reason to hang out together. One night, we were drinking and watching TV, and the conversation shifted to our commitment and how dedicated I was to her. So she said, we should get married now. It wasn't jokingly or cutesy. It was dead-ass serious. I was taken aback because I care about this person, but we only just met, and it's too early even to consider that. I did my best to say, no, I'm not ready yet, and I'm not going to say yes to something that I don't feel comfortable saying. So, because I was trying to avoid the situation, it was perceived as, I don't want to. But she repeatedly said, we should get married, why won't you marry me? This was when I was berated and called condescending names because I didn't say what she wanted to hear. We woke up the following day, and after reminiscing about how much fun we had last night, I told her she called me some pretty hurtful things. She laughed and said, sorry, I didn't mean to. I have thick skin, so I brushed it off and gave her the benefit of the doubt. But a week later, it happened again, the same situation, we were drinking and having a great night, but she started saying, we should get married, again, and I reacted the same way. I told her, no, I'm not ready yet. She fell asleep, and I silently left in the early morning. Once I got home, I texted her, saying, I can't be with someone that berates me. I know my worth and won't let myself be abused again. Her reply was, oh no, I'm so sorry. I understand where you're coming from. I know I can get very ugly sometimes, and it's my flaw, but I know I didn't mean anything towards you. We had plans that morning to meet my friends and have a picnic at the park, but instead, I spent hours crying in bed. Eventually, I got up and met my friends at the park, where I told them everything. 6 hours after her last text, she texted me a sad, frowny face emoji. I told her I'd call her later. That night, we had an hour and 20-minute long phone call. During it, I probably talked for a combined 15 minutes. The main takeaway from the conversation was that she was sorry, but it was my fault since I bought the cider, and I should have known better because she's 5 feet 6 inches, 110 pounds, and I'm 6 feet 2 inches, 175 pounds, and that it was too high of alcohol content. I was also emasculated because of my actions since I was vocal about my feelings and emotions. I tried to express the need for boundaries, since we are both in therapy, and she replied that boundaries are for animals and cattle. The conversation went from bad to worse. I couldn't believe my ears. There was no accountability for her actions or any remorse. The thing she said that I can't get out of my head is how she used my past trauma, the things I told her in confidence, to justify how my actions are irrational and that because I was hurt in the past, I shouldn't be so weak, and it's not like she was physically abusing me like my exes. It's been 5 days, and I haven't received a text or call from her. I've been a complete wreck. I can't eat, sleep, or do anything without thinking about her. I would have given her the world. We talked about traveling together and going to festivals. I told her about all the cute dates I had planned. I would have done anything for her because she is precisely who I envision myself being with, but it feels like I'm just another doormat to her. I've been struggling to process everything that's happened. I cared deeply about her and really believed in what we were building. Did I overreact by something she said while she was drunk? Should I text her or just walk away? Stories number 6. Friendship ended because of friend's vegan wife. I know I'm partially at fault for the friendship ending, and I'm willing to accept my judgment. And it's really long. Sorry. November of last year I, female, went to visit a friend, we'll call him Kevin, and stayed at his and his wife's house. Early last year, Kevin and his wife, we'll call her Karen, moved a couple states away. For context, we are all over the age of 35 and Kevin and I were part of a friend group from an old job. Another couple from the friend group went on this trip as well, but they were also visiting family and stayed with them. Prior to the move, our friend group didn't really have much interaction with Karen as she didn't really come spend time with us. She was always invited, just rarely joined. They never hosted us at their old house. They are vegan. I am not. Well, Kevin is not full-fledged vegan, as he eats fish. However, his wife does the grocery shopping, so everything outside of fish is vegan, and he eats/drinks it. He buys his own fish and has a mini kitchen to prep his own meals away from hers. For even more context, Karen is not a vegan for health reasons. She is the type that brings up their vegan status with every conversation, no matter how irrelevant it is to the topic, makes fun of people that eat meat or use things made with animal byproducts, accuses people of murder, etc., except she leaves Kevin alone. She calls any food that is not vegan trash and garbage. Example: when we would hang out before they moved and she was there, she would always ask how people could eat such garbage any time any of us would have meat. It was annoying, but I never got confrontational with her about it. The day before I visited them, Karen sent a short list of rules that I had to follow regarding food. One of those rules was that I couldn't store any non-vegan food items in either kitchen. I did ask if I could bring milk, and she agreed, but I had to keep it in the fish fridge. All of the food I ate at their house tasted off, even the breakfast waffles and then the tuna casserole that Kevin made for the two of us Saturday afternoon for lunch. It's not like it tasted spoiled, it was just off. Weird. A little gross. I've never eaten vegan, so I figured it was just that, food made with vegan ingredients. I couldn't really eat anything after a few bites. I had, fortunately, packed a few protein, non-vegan, snacks that I kept in my room, inside a zippered canvas bag, at the bottom of my suitcase. I was not specifically prohibited from bringing snacks to keep in my room. I kept my trash and disposed of it after I left. I did eat some street food from the market. Kevin, and our friends went to Saturday after lunch, and I ate like a horse at the restaurant we went to that Saturday night, and I am not ashamed. My husband and I are supposed to be going to visit them this weekend, and Karen called me a couple of hours ago. She wanted to tell me that I wouldn't be allowed to bring any milk this time around. She also said that my husband and I also couldn't bring any snacks and that I should have asked last time. Apparently, she had gone through my suitcase when Kevin and I and our friends were out at the market and found my snacks. In addition to that, she also told me that she replaced my milk with almond milk and thought that was just hilarious. I drank some milk Friday night before bed and one glass on Saturday morning. Then, Kevin told me he used it to make our waffles and wanted to save the rest for the casserole at lunch. What actually happened was that after I poured my glass Saturday morning before breakfast, Karen dumped the rest of it out and replaced it with almond milk. Kevin knew it but didn't tell me. I never went to look for it because he said he wanted to save it. The waffles and casserole were made with almond milk. I was so mad that I knew I wouldn't be able to say anything nice. I told her I had another call coming in and hung up. After I calmed down, I called her back to ask why she went through my suitcase and why she dumped my milk. She told me that it was her house and she had a right to know, so that's why she was allowed to go through my things. She said she dumped my milk because nobody can tell the difference between cow's milk and almond milk and that I wouldn't have known if she hadn't told me. I called her a controlling, self-centered freak, told her that Kevin has a stash of real cheese hidden in the fish fridge that he sneaks into his food, and hung up on her. Then I called Kevin. He sided with her and told me that I pushed the line when I asked to bring milk and that it was incredibly rude to order meat when we went to dinner. We argued, and I told him that it seems our lives are going in different directions and that we don't need to be friends anymore. I know I probably should have asked if it was okay to have non-vegan snacks in my room, or I could have kept them in my car. I also shouldn't have called her names. I was a guest at their house and Kevin has me half convinced that as a guest, I should have respected Karen's veganism and not had any non-vegan food at all. My husband thinks they're completely in the wrong and that since their lifestyle is not one the majority of the population follows, they should have made exceptions since Kevin gets a fish exception. He's also as pissed as I am that she went through my stuff, and he also pointed out that if I was allergic to almonds, I could have gotten very ill. He says that I'm better off and thinks ending the friendship was reasonable. He and Kevin got along, but just like Karen, my husband is a spouse of someone in the friend group, so they weren't really close. A few minutes ago I got the "hey, can we talk" text, and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to respond. I'm just kind of done with it. Edit, I'm so sorry that I can't respond to all of your comments. Just know that I am reading them. I'm calling Kevin on my lunch break today and will post an update after since so many people have asked for one. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I wouldn't want to be friends anymore either. She had no right to replace your milk after allowing you to bring it. She had absolutely no right to go through your bags. She is a crazy controlling weirdo, so I don't see why you would apologize for anything you said. I certainly would never spend time with someone who thinks they can control what you eat at a restaurant. I'm guessing the only reason this friendship lasted was because you never saw the wife. You could maybe try that. Commenter 2. Right, I would be shitting in her toilet and not flushing just in case she wanted to inspect that too. Reply, I feel like maybe I'm overreacting by ending the friendship. The only thing I'm 100% sure on is that I am owed an apology for going through my stuff and for the milk. I wasn't going to starve, and I had the option of prepping meals in his mini kitchen. He just offered to do the cooking. I spent a little time around her, but clearly not enough to know her well since I didn't know she'd do stuff like that. We could always get a hotel, but the closest one is 30 minutes away. It also seems rude to go down there and completely avoid her. Ick. Commenter 2. Wow. I would have been able to tell the difference between regular and almond milk, because my throat would have closed up quickly. I hate it when people think it's okay to mess with someone else's food, regardless of where they are. It's never, ever, never, ever okay. Reply, fortunately I don't have allergies, but there was definitely a taste difference. I was raised in the you eat what you're given era and couldn't bring myself to say, well I don't like this so I'm going to make myself something else. I've always been able to like something about a meal but all of it was just. I don't know how to describe it. The taste and the texture was just really strange. Update. Secondly, I wanted to clarify that the bag Karen found in my suitcase had emergency cash and a credit card in it as well as snacks. The reason it was hidden in my suitcase was to keep it safe, not to hide food. I wasn't sneaking it in, important later, but I did have protein bars in there just in case I took issue with their food. Naughty me. I responded to Kevin yesterday and told him I needed some time to think and I'd get back to him today. I took some of your advice and reached out to our friend group last night. After the group chat and also talking just with the friends that were down that weekend, I learned some things. Long story short, out of our core group of 6, I'm the only one that kept up with Kevin. The only reason those 2 friends accepted Kevin's invitation to go down that weekend was because I was going, visiting family was a bonus. After I took the rest of the night to think about and sleep on it, I realized that all of you are right about Kevin's complicity regarding the switching of the milk. I didn't pay as much attention as I should have because I was so focused on the fact that Karen switched the milk to begin with. I also realized he had never actually said anything in response to my telling him that Karen confessed to going through my stuff when I called him yesterday. He had changed the subject instead, talking about how it was rude to ask to bring milk. Anyway, I called Kevin on my lunch break today and ran down the list of issues: Karen going through my suitcase, him not telling me about the milk switch, Karen switching the milk to begin with after telling me I could bring it, and how what I eat is none of their business as long as I'm not contaminating their food. Basically he told me the only thing he would apologize for was saying that it was rude to order non-vegan food at the restaurant. He said that since they had plenty of food in the house for me to eat, he didn't have to apologize for anything else. Apparently Karen had told him not to tell me about the milk switch because she was trying to prove that I couldn't tell the difference between vegan and non-vegan food, essentially the same thing she said to me yesterday. I told him that since I didn't eat any of it except a few bites, clearly I could tell the difference. He also said that he was eventually going to tell me about it but forgot. I said that she could have just said no when I asked to bring milk instead of being a swampy butthole about it. He said that although he didn't agree with Karen going through my things, I wasn't owed an apology because I broke the rules by sneaking meat into their house. There was a meat stick in that canvas bag. I told him that I had only been told I couldn't have non-vegan food in both kitchens and that it was left over from my drive to their house. As long as I didn't switch it with their food like a certain someone, I hadn't done anything wrong. The last thing he told me was that the other reason I wasn't getting an apology from him was because after I told Karen about his cheese stash yesterday afternoon, she unplugged his fish fridge. He didn't get home from work until late, and according to his Google search, all the refrigerated fish had to be thrown away. This is apparently my fault. He said that we were even now. He didn't tell me about the milk switch, and I snitched about his cheese. I tried explaining that they weren't the same thing and that I wasn't responsible for what she did, but he didn't care and said he knew I wasn't allergic to nuts. I don't remember ever discussing that with him, but whatever. I asked if he truly believed that I didn't deserve any apologies from either of them, and he said yes. I told him that if he couldn't see what they did wrong and apologize, I couldn't help him and to give me a call when he got his balls back from his wife. He hung up on me. Yesterday, I thought I owed him an apology because I was wrong. I thought if I gave him one, we could maintain a friendship. Today I think that the problem was that I was holding on to something that didn't exist anymore. Until you guys reality checked me, I ignored a lot of things and gaslit myself. So thank you everybody for the smack to the back of the head. Everybody should have people like you in their lives. Thanks for reading. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Hey, you disposed of about 200 pounds of meat. Maybe Karen's vegan tantrum worked after all. Reply. My husband said almost the same thing. Commenter 2. I'd watch your credit card because Karen might try to use it. She sounds very off. Reply, I actually cancelled it Thursday after our phone call and ordered a new one. It was inside an inner pocket but I wasn't taking any chances. My husband said last night if I didn't, I'd probably see a charge for a new fridge. He was only half joking. Stories number 7. Aita for being upset that my boyfriend expects 50-50 on bills but refuses to lift a finger around the house. So, I, 24F, have been living with my boyfriend, 27M, for about 8 months now, and I'm starting to feel really resentful about how things are going. Here's the situation: we agreed to split the rent, bills, and all household expenses 50-50ths when we moved in together, and I was totally fine with it at first. But the more time goes on, the more I'm starting to feel like I'm doing way more than my fair share. We both work full-time jobs, but he has a pretty chill 9 to 5 while I have a more demanding job with longer hours. Despite that, he expects me to handle most of the housework, cooking, and general upkeep of the apartment. I'm talking about doing the laundry, cleaning, grocery shopping, cooking dinner every night, all of it. He'll occasionally do a load of dishes or take out the trash, if I ask, but that's the extent of it. Meanwhile, he's sitting on the couch or playing video games during my work hours and then expects me to cook after I've been working for 10+ hours. When I bring it up, he says I'm being dramatic and that he helps out when he can. But I don't think helping out once in a while counts when I'm doing 90% of the chores. On top of all that, he still wants to split everything 50-50ths, and it feels like he's putting the bare minimum into our relationship. I feel like I'm pulling all the weight, both financially and emotionally, and when I try to have a conversation about how overwhelmed I am, he just brushes it off and says I'm complaining or making a big deal out of nothing. I don't think I'm asking for too much, just a little help around the house and for him to acknowledge that if we're going to split things 50-50, it should be more than just bills. It should be about both of us contributing to the home, right? So, Aita for being mad that my boyfriend expects me to do all the housework and still wants everything to be 50-50. Stories number 8. Am I the bitch for not letting my sister's spoilt kid come to my wedding? My sister 28F has a spoilt kid 6F called Lily. Lily gets everything she wants, doesn't matter whose birthday it is, she always gets her way. I have 2 kids, James who is 12 and Chloe who is 15. Obviously I am going to let my own kids come to my wedding, they're older and they are quite mature for their age. Lily on the other hand is so rude, spoilt and literally has no manners. Remember one time we were out for dinner and Lily screamed the place down because they didn't have chicken nuggets on the adults menu. Yeah, she's 6 and is allowed to order of the adults menu while my kids weren't allowed to order of the adults meal until about 2 years ago, but of course we had to get up, leave and go to a restaurant that sold nuggets on the adults menu, and my sister was completely fine with all of that, having to cancel our reservation all for a spoilt little 6-year-old. My son is my husband's groom's man while my daughter is one of my bridesmaids. My sister demanded that Lily should be the flower girl and my whole family sided with her, so now I'm debating whether or not I should even let her come. Am I the bitch for not letting my sister's spoilt kid come to my wedding? Stories number 9. Aita for telling my roommate's booty call she has HIV. Hello, Reddit. So, my roommate Lisa mentioned to me last night that she had a guy coming over. She recently also told me she had tested positive for HIV. She says, I'm getting some dick tonight. All excited, so I tried to talk her out of it. Turns out she hadn't told him she was infected, and refused to do so when I asked. So she goes upstairs to shower, and her date shows up. I pulled him aside and tell him everything. He was still very nice and ate dinner with me and Lisa. He also watched movies and made popcorn with Lisa. Now it's the next morning and Lisa is hopping mad. She yells at me about, how dare you this and that. I'm just standing there like, the fuck? She's mad cause she didn't get no dick. Well, she was indeed mad. Now she won't speak to me. Now I'm feeling guilty. Aita. P.S. I'm high so this might not be typed out right, like grammatical errors. Stories number 10. Aita for snapping at my boyfriend for bringing a man into the bedroom while I am trying to sleep. So for quick context, my boyfriend bought us a new bed frame and mattress, but the frame came with a crack in one of the pieces. When he told Amazon, they just sent him another one. One day at work an employee mentioned he was needing a new bed, so my boyfriend said he could have the one Amazon sent him if he didn't mind the broken piece. Well, he didn't, and he came to get it today. I know this person and I do not like him for various reasons. My boyfriend told me the night before he was coming to get it. I said cool, I'm not coming out of the bedroom unless I have to. He came and I vaguely heard them talking, but I was half asleep and didn't care. Then I heard my boyfriend say something about showing him our bed, and I heard him say that I was in there, but it was fine. I kind of froze, half asleep and confused, until I hear them coming and I pulled the blankets over my head as my boyfriend announced coming in. I said very loudly, why? And they just came in. It was hot and stuffy under the covers. Thank God I wore baggy clothes and not my usual sleepwear, so I pulled the blankets down and the guy was just standing there in the doorway and awkwardly said good morning. To which I replied very angry good morning back and probably looked like I wanted to kill everyone there. So my boyfriend showed off the bed and started to leave, to which I snapped at him for not shutting the door behind him on his way out. I don't like leaving the door completely open because it's so awkward when his son, 20, goes to the bathroom across the hall and we see each other when I'm trying to sleep. I just want it cracked enough my cat can get in and he knows this. Eventually the employee leaves and my boyfriend comes in and I immediately sat up and tell him I did not like that at all. He tries saying something in a sing-song voice that may have been a half-assed apology but I cut him off saying, I really didn't fucking like that at all, and he turned around and left without a word. I shut the door completely and laid down, just sort of locked up in place. My whole body sort of just felt heavy and my chest hurt but I couldn't cry but that was just so humiliating to have not only a man that does not belong in my bedroom there, but also him seeing me in my safe space. An absolute mess from sleeping was just horrible. Later when I got up for work my boyfriend left as soon as he knew I was moving, got his pants and left without a word. On my way out I very angry texted him that since he decided to Irish goodbye me after hurting me that bad, I'd take the couch tonight. He didn't reply and he was asleep when I got home, so on the couch I am now. I want to know if I'm the asshole for how I reacted, because I have a feeling that's how he's going to twist it when he does, or if he does, say anything at all. Stories number 11. My 22F, boyfriend, 23M, has been weird about birth control in our relationship, 7 months, and I need help. I don't think I need a throwaway because nobody knows I'm on Reddit anyway. We've been dating since July of last year. Lots of ups and downs, but thing is, he's very stingy about us using protection. I'm not on birth control for personal reasons and he sheepishly agreed to use protection for the sake of me being comfortable, which is very caring. However, he insists on buying the condoms himself. When I do buy them, he insists on having them in his house. One time we were going at it but no condom in sight, I offered to go to the pharmacy and buy some, but he declined. Another time I had one that my friend gave me as a gross joke. It apparently had been in his pocket since high school, and I suggested to my boyfriend that it could be useful, jokingly. He freaked out and screamed at how I wasn't taking our family planning seriously. He constantly monitors my cycle, even having the same app one use on my phone with my cycle info in it. He says it's better that way because two heads think better than one. When I get my period he's constantly asking about some details I would rather not give, Aita consistency, whether there's clots or not, etc. When I'm ovulating, same deal, how's your mucus? Is it liquid? Do you know how to precisely locate your cervix position? Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Still weird. We have, however, had unprotected sex a lot of times, and I take full blame for that, with a few scares. He also has this icky habit of putting on a condom and taking it off last minute, saying, but it feels better, and waiting for my reluctant yes so he can do it. I don't like it, but whatever. We've had 2 very long pregnancy scares. We usually have sex when I'm not ovulating, so we've never been scared, and he recently told me that both times he's told his MOM. And that they couldn't have been more ecstatic. He's always said that he's a family man and he wants kids, but maintained a male feminist front with me, telling me that he'd let me make the ultimate choice if necessary. What broke the fucking straw was, I recently got recommended by my doctor this new pills that won't counteract with my other treatments and I was happy when I told him I had the doctor's appointment. Went and got the blood exams too. Couldn't wait for my life living worry-free. He freaked out worse than I've ever seen. Asking if it was the right choice that I should consult with other doctors, that he wanted to come with me to the OB/GYN and that he should be more involved in this stuff. Should he be more involved? Should I let him into the doctor's appointment? I'm really conflicted. Please help. TLDR, boyfriend is oddly controlling of almost every aspect of my menstrual cycle and our family planning. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He wants you to get pregnant. How are you not furious about this? Reply. Why would he? We're both broke college students. Makes no sense for him. Just assumed it was a control thing. Commenter 2. Wanting your girlfriend to get pregnant so she won't leave you is a control thing. How's the rest of your relationship? Reply. He's very off. Really sweet with gifts and stuff, but then he's annoying about not seeing him enough. I work and study. Now on vacations I'm in charge of my little brothers and I go work afternoon. About me being lazy, about my mom being a stuck-up high-class hag. This is the best translation I could do. It's a phrase people use in my country, and how I'm just like her, but other days he'll just be sweet and ask me about my day. Recently he pulled a 180 degrees and told me he was going on vacation with his college friends to a beach nearby, all good until it's been 3 days and I can't get to him. I call his mom and she tells me, oh, he's at, not the place he told me, and they have no signal there, that's why he hasn't texted you back. I freaked the fuck out because why would he lie? He came back a few days ago and called me from the bus station. I was obviously furious and almost yelled at him, why would you tell me you were going to X place and not go there? So he started yelling too and complaining that surely he had told me and I wasn't paying attention. Now this is plausible, maybe I'm confused, but I don't think so. We went shopping for a swimsuit for this trip, so, makes no sense. I'm still mad at him and we're giving each other space. OOP describes the boyfriend. He gets really mad sometimes and raises his voice, but he says it runs in his family and it doesn't mean anything. He does this on the phone too, and when I say, don't scream at me, he'll defend himself saying that he wasn't screaming, that's just his voice. He does talk loudly too. I've been with abusive men in the past, sexually, physically, and he doesn't seem like an abuser. I know how it sounds, but just bear with me. He's sweet. When he confessed he said he had a thing for me for a long time. We had classes together 2018, that's when we met, and we didn't see each other until July 2019 when we started dating. He's also been very vulnerable with me and has told me what seems is his life story, his abusive dad, everything. I guess TLDR I don't think he's an abuser because he doesn't seem to resemble the other abusive men in my life. Update. I really don't know how to do updates. So, I really want to thank everyone for their input. I'm already reading the PDF some of you recommended me. So far it's hitting real close to home. I wanted to do this update because after posting this and reading some comments I came home and told my mom all of it. She flipped. She screamed, not at me, and cried and the whole shebang. She's always been icky around him, she's told me to leave him more than once. So she just exploded. Thing is, she called him herself. And he was silent, because it wasn't me speaking, it was her. Now I'm grounded, yes, grounded as a 22 years old. But he's blocked from every social media I have. My mom told my family and they all blocked him, and I told my friends, the ones I don't share with him, and they all agree that he's an ass. I am really, really heartbroken. But, relieved, in a way. I still can't believe I'm grounded. Relief because even if I wanted to, now I can't reach him. I'm gonna cry a lot now, but I really want to thank you. Also, thankfully my blood results are alright and I tested negative for HIV. On my OBGYN appointment next week I'm gonna get the rest of the tests done. I cannot stress enough. Thank you. Even if he wasn't going to hurt me, he can't hurt me now and I'm so free and hurt but free. TLDR, I told my mom and she ended up doing it so it all came to a halt real quick. But I still wanted to thank you. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Wow, your mother does not mess around. I'm sorry you're hurting, but very soon you are going to feel some big relief washing all over you. Reply. She did not. I expected rage, but dear God she nearly scalped him through the phone. And the worst thing was, I was so relieved I didn't have to do it. Like I felt like a tiger cub besides Mama Tiger. It was amazing and childish and I don't know but I'm processing it. Update. Also, and I'm adding this now that I've given the update, not everything was bad. I swear. I've seen some comments like, why are you even with him? I mean, he was not perfect, but it was a relationship and it had its honeymoon phase. I really wanted to take care of him. To an extent I think I did. I'd like to think he loved me, at least liked me, those first months. Commenter 1. Of course not everything was bad. It never is. We don't date people for no reason. You have no reason to be ashamed. There were things about him that you liked, and you probably weren't wrong that he liked you too, but some behaviors are never okay. It might be a good idea to see a counselor and talk a little bit about it, so that you are better armed to see red flags in the future and choose to walk away when you need to. Stories number 12. I was told by my wife that she wants a break. I, 28M, and my wife, 27F, have been together for 7 years and married for almost 2. We have a beautiful 1-year-old and I thought everything was perfect for us. It's been a rough week but I was informed that she wanted a break between us. It came out of left field and I was lost on what could have happened. She expressed that she needed space to think on what she wants to do and find herself again. Since I understand me being the sole provider for our family, she had all the time at our home to take care of our kid while also making sure that she has the freedom to relax. She said she wasn't sure who she was anymore since her identity had changed from who she was to now mom. I understand that having a child is a very big moment and also it's a dramatic change to our dynamic and relationship. She expressed that I have not met her needs and she has no love nor feels happy with me anymore. I'm not her safe space even though I have been trying so hard to provide and give love to both my child and my wife. Working 10 to 12 plus hours a day, and whenever I am home, whether if I'm off or come home for work, I make sure to take care of our child so she does have her own time to do what she would like to do and have her own time, since being a stay-at-home mom is not easy. Noted all the stuff we have isn't joint, and we don't have a house together and just an apartment. She has been talking to a new friend group in a video game online recently, and this is way before she told me that she wanted to take a break from me. I noticed that she has been talking to this new guy and I seem to be concerned since they would talk all day and all night. I expressed my concerns regarding it and she just said that he was like a brother to her. I trust my wife and I didn't think that I would have to talk to this guy and let him know that she was married because I trust her to know when to nip the butt if it comes to that. A day later, after being told on taking a break, I did my best to provide her the space so she can think about what she's feeling, but it just looked like to me that she just always wanted to talk to this guy and also her new friend group. I was told that her friend group and this guy knew she was married and I did not want to think the worst case scenario. Few hours later I was told by a good friend of mine that she has oversharing her needs, affection/sexual, and saying that I did not meet her needs no more, but mentioned that this guy she's been talking to could. She said that they have a more compatibility even though she has never met him before in real life. I was devastated to hear that because I thought I did everything I could to make her happy, providing the home and food for our family. Later that night I checked call logs and texts from this guy, and to my surprise, they've been sending explicit messages towards each other and asking questions about him sexually and comparing me to him to the point that they have gotten off while on chat or phone call. She later found out that I found all this out and was sorry for her action, but she still wants to talk to this guy because she was worried for his mental state after I caught them in the act. From the very beginning of the break I felt like my feelings were never considered in the first place. I just have to focus on my child to get me through the times in my own home that I'm providing, even though she's openly talking and video chatting with this guy. I know she's craving that attention since he is the one giving it to her, but doesn't think that me providing our family is not a show of love. I want this marriage to work because I love her even though she emotionally cheated and we have a child together, but it's so hard to find a will to keep trying if she's talking to this guy whenever I'm at work and when I come home from work. Is it my fault that she's seeking this attention to someone else she never met and I should have done a better job showing her the love that she deserves? I regret any instance that she mentioned that I'm not showing her the love that she wants, and I'm willing to work on them and keep fighting for our marriage, but she has no reason or will to make it work because she does not believe that I will change. If we did go to marriage counseling, it wouldn't be beneficial for her since she does not see any love towards me and I'm not her safe space no more, but this new guy is. She shows no will to make this work, and I understand no one is perfect, but I feel like any suggestion or action that I do towards this is just for naught. TLDR, I was told by my wife that she wants to take a break, but turns out she has fallen in love with someone who she never met in real life. Update, I was told by my wife that she wants a break. I honestly didn't think this would get lots of comments and views. I'm also surprised on how often this happens and how big the internet really is. Thank you for your time to read what I've been feeling. No, I'm not saying I'm not perfect. Far from it, and there are faults that I have to work on to be a better partner in the future. I understand that only providing isn't the only thing while raising a child and keeping a family together. There are many instances where I wish I did more and should have done more so she would feel special and chaste like she wanted. There's only so much that people can do, and I see that she was just looking for the missing attention that I wasn't giving to her. Unfortunately, she has a mindset that I'm not going to change, or I don't have it in me to meet her needs, and does not see any romantic feelings to me. At this point, like many people mentioned, there's only so much I can do, but I need to focus on my child's safety and living. Have to stand up and show her that if that's what she wants, then so be it. Unfortunately, that means we weren't meant to be, but that doesn't erase all the good memories we had together throughout the years. My main priority is our child and my well-being. If I can't keep my head up and have the respect for myself, then how can I be there for the kid? Also went gray rock and just solely asks for updates regarding the child whenever I'm at work. Talk to reduce hours so I can work 8 to 9 depending if I stay longer for customers, sales. Gotten into contact with a few lawyers and gonna be calling them for questions to what to expect and provide more guidance. We'll keep you guys posted if this is still interesting to you guys. Thank you for your comments, and also sincere sorriest that I'm going through this. Stories number 13. Wife, 41F, recently reconnected with an old friend, 44M, and spending a lot of time with them. How do I handle this appropriately? Trigger warnings, mentions of infidelity, possible scam. Original post, November 29, 2024. To set the scene, my wife, 41F, and I, 40M, have been together for 15 years and have a child together, 5F. Before we met, she was friends with KC, 44M, whom she also had occasional sex She cheated with him on her last boyfriend before the relationship was over, something she mentioned once and forgotten since that she mentioned it to me. The reason she ended their friendship was because the last time they had sex, he didn't pull out and she had to take plan B. She was mad at him for that, and decided to cut him out of her life. That was fairly recently before we met, and when she and I started dating, she was still in the process of clarifying to him that she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. Cue to now, she recently reconnected with him via another friend, and they have been spending an unusual amount of time together. Her friend pulled her into some sort of crypto thing, and is currently teaching her and a couple of other friends everything about crypto investments. She wants to learn everything about crypto investing and is attending his boot camps, but in addition to that, she also hangs out with him taking walks and just being on the phone with him. I made it clear pretty early that I find it a bit weird that going for him, I don't want to see him anymore, and after 15 years suddenly spending so much time with him. 100 right quick. She doesn't hide him though. She tells me when she hangs out with him or sees him, and has so far been open about their interactions. He has 3 kids and is married. It came to a head today when she announced she was going to go out with him again, after last weekend where she said she'd be going for a walk with him at night for an hour and ended up spending at least 4 hours with him, taking a walk and losing track of time. I told her in no unclear terms that she is a grown woman but that the intensity of their contact is worrying and making me uncomfortable. And that if I felt that this relationship became appropriate, I would end things with her at the drop of a hat. She knows I have been cheated on in the past, and that I have a zero-tolerance policy towards cheating and cheaters. I despise it, and have never done it myself. She's upset now and currently outside in front of our house door talking on the phone. I assume she's talking to him. Meanwhile, I'm looking after our daughter and her friend. TLDR wife reconnected with an old friend and is spending an inappropriate amount of time with him and I am getting really uncomfortable with it but don't want to overreact. Update. Not sure how I am allowed to participate in this conversation, such arbitrary rules on this sub, but we just had another argument before she walked out to meet with him. She put our daughter to bed and before she left the house, she wanted to talk. Defended him and their friendship, and asked why I didn't have a problem with her other exes. I've met 2 of them and they're both stand-up guys, and she does hang out with them occasionally, but I'm not worried about them. I told her this is different, that context matters, and that I really don't understand why she thinks it's appropriate or even acceptable to meet with a former FWB and spend so much time with them. I brought up that she cheated with him, to which she corrected me that it was someone else who she cheated with on her last boyfriend, some guy with a similar name, whatever, and that they only had sex in between relationships. And then she stated that they talked it out what happened between them with the unprotected sex, but that I wasn't willing to hear it, because I told her I don't want to hear anything about the guy as I don't like him. To this I got pretty angry, asking her if she is really discussing past sexual encounters. She said yeah, it had to be talked out. We went in a few circles after, but basically it was the same stuff. I don't think it's appropriate, I am not comfortable with the intensity of their friendship, and that the moment I feel she's not being truthful I am walking out. Also reiterated my point that she's a grown-ass woman, and can do what she wants, but she isn't free of the consequences of her actions. In the end she stood there with tears in her eyes and a look of contempt I've seen before when she's about to lose her shit, but kept her cool and said she's going off to see him. Tried to kiss me goodbye and I told her no. She then walked towards the door ranting about me being unreasonable, and I told her again that she's a grown-ass woman and that she can do as she pleases but that she needs to be ready for the consequences of her actions. Slammed the door shut and drove off. I guess we'll see what happens when she comes back. Relevant comments. Does the wife of the old friend know about their past friendship? Yeah, they know each other and used to be friendly. His wife used to actually be good friends with my wife, apparently, but they lost touch with each other after we moved away for a while and his wife only married him years after that FWB thing went down, even though she already had a kid from him or STH. That's at least what I remember. I don't have any contact with her. It's all a bit convoluted. I am a very different person to my wife. She has tons of friends, I only have a couple. She's very social, I'm not, etc. About the possible cheating, yeah, I'm upset but also I feel a bit numb about all of this, just exhausted, I guess. Anyway, we won't be sharing a bed tonight, I'm going to watch a movie and sleeping the guest room. Commenter 1, reading your past posts. You two were on shaky ground when you were dating. Now that this man has re-entered her life. This relationship is over. She was looking for a way out. And she found it by cheating on you, in front of your face. With your approval until now. I'm sorry, but sometimes your love isn't enough to keep the other person in love with you. And they will do anything they can to end it besides actually telling you they are finished with the relationship. Reply, yeah, we've had our ups and downs for sure. Recently, we've stabilized a bit, after lots of individual therapy to deal with my anger and resentment towards her, but current events throw a wrench into that. Numbed out is all I feel right now. Curious what my therapist has to say about this tbh. Seeing her next week again. Has your wife cheated on him before? Reply, no, she never cheated on me. At least that I know of. This behavior of her is not totally out of the norm for her, meeting friends, even male ones, and I never had a weird feeling about it. It's almost never new people, but people she's known longer than me. Generally, I'm not a very jealous person. The current issue is on the surface only a little different, obviously. She knows him longer than me, normal, and she meets up with him, usually also normal, and they used to fuck way back, alright, weird, but she's friends with exes. But the problem I have is she cut him out of her life and now is pulling him back in and went from 0 to 100 in terms of contact within only a couple weeks. Why don't OOP go meet with his wife's old friend and see what the crypto-related stuff is all about? Reply, she has invited me to meet him and to come to his boot camps. I just am not interested in him and his BS. Update. This is an update to a previous post I made here. Still get DMs here and there, so I thought I'd give everyone some closure on this. Nothing too exciting. TLDR wife reconnected with an old friend and is spending a ton of time with him. We fought, shit's weird now. So after she ran off to meet him at some bar, she came home around midnight. I was still up as I was watching something on TV, looked over at her, and she looked unsure. She sat down at the end of the couch where I was sitting and said she's sorry she got so angry. She met with him and they talked about the situation. Apparently, he told her that I am right and that it is weird they're spending so much time with each other. And she called a few friends to talk and get their opinion. They mirrored the same sentiments, that it's hard not to think of this as having at least an emotional affair. To be honest, I was still beyond pissed. And to hear that she only came to realize it when other people told her it was inappropriate, not just me, wasn't helping. She explained that she is learning something from him that is giving her a new lease on life, and to her, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally start contributing financially and acquiring the skills to generate a bigger income. He is apparently a quite successful day trader, and has been teaching her and a group of other people how to day trade in extreme detail. She insisted she show me what she was doing, so I let her chew my ear off for an hour about day trading, looking at her programs, charts, indicators, and all that, ranting about financial markets etc. She's learned trading with leverage and stuff I have no clue about, but it amazes me that a woman who is too ADHD to read boring government forms and gets overwhelmed with simple adult stuff like communicating with municipalities or banks and hates math is diving headfirst into something as complex as crypto day trading. Still, she seemed surprisingly knowledgeable about all this, and knowing how long it takes her to grasp things she's not interested in, I was impressed. And she was still defiant about the whole spending inappropriate amount of time stuff. I told her she needs to cool it with the contact, but I won't stand in her way learning something that she feels is a major opportunity for her. We agreed on ground rules. No evenings or weekends, no phone calls past 6 p.m., and no one-on-one meetings, only group settings. She's been stretching these rules every now and then, but largely kept to them. When she needed to bend them, she speaks to me beforehand and gives me ample of heads up, but hides her resentment of having to follow these rules. Still, she seems to want to keep the peace for now and is being proactive. Things have cooled down to a degree where I don't get angry anymore anytime she mentions him. Anyway, other than that she now thinks she's a pro and a future millionaire and constantly talks about trading. It's been bumpy for other reasons outside of this weird friendship. Her trading talk is annoying as shit and I still think she's got a little crush on her big trader hero. I have grown a bit distant in the last couple months because this whole situation emotionally drained me, but we are keeping things going. I know this is not the dramatic cheating and infidelity story some people were expecting. It's a pretty severe, rough patch in an average normal people relationship. She's not cheating on me physically. I think she might have a crush, which happens in a long-term relationship, and I have other shit to deal with at the moment that I just can't expend the energy to obsess over this every day for hours or fight this into a dramatic my way or the highway conclusion. I don't want to blow our marriage up just to satisfy other people's personal convictions on how a relationship should be like. It's shit right now, but it's our shit. My instinct tells me it's a passing fancy, and if things go sideways still, I can always walk out. This will be my last and only update. Is OOP's wife likely to do some crypto trading? Reply, I understand enough that I know she's only gambling, yes, I call it gambling, small amounts. She's had a 100% hit rate so far and only traded small amounts, $50 here, $100 there. Her strategy is to only trade in a way where the money is so small that her leverage is super high, as in 50x the amount she puts in, that she never risks coming near a liquidation price or whatever that means. It seems low risk enough in a high risk environment. Does OOP's wife have access to his savings? Reply, nope, no chance in hell she has no access to savings. Stories number 14. My friend wants to announce her pregnancy on my birthday. When my friend got pregnant for the first time, she found out a few weeks before my birthday. I had just bought a house months before, so I planned a small get-together with my friends for my birthday, which was also a housewarming party. Now that we are all adults, it's hard to get together, people have jobs, families, etc., so we don't get together as often like we did before. She reached out to me a couple of days before and told if she could tell our friends that day since we were all getting together. I said yes, even though it didn't sit well with me. I was trying to celebrate me and she was going to announce her pregnancy. She said like everyone is gonna think it's weird that I won't drink, so it's just easier to tell them. I agreed, but did feel a certain kind of way about it. The day comes, it's my birthday, she tells everyone, and obviously the birthday celebration is now about her and the baby. Fast forward to now, she's pregnant again and wants to tell a couple of our friends again on my birthday. One of our friends is getting married and she won't be able to make it since her due date is around the wedding day. She said if I should do it in person at your birthday since she will be there, or just give her a call. Stories number 15. My boyfriend can't feel anything when we have sex. Hi, I'm in a new relationship and we recently had sex for the first time. My boyfriend has had sex before, but that was years ago. The problem is that when we have penetrative sex, he doesn't feel anything at all in his penis and his boner goes away. He can orgasm when we have foreplay, but it's the sex part that doesn't work. We've tried using lube, having extensive foreplay, tried not focusing on the sex being the end goal, and so on. But nothing works. Sad face. Does anyone have any ideas on what the problem could be / what we should do? I would be just fine only doing foreplay stuff, but the intimacy and closeness during sex is what I'm really craving. Edit. To answer some questions, I have talked to him, he's going to talk to a doctor. He said that he's already considered the fact that it could be death grip syndrome, but that he doesn't think so because he doesn't grip too hard. He also doesn't masturbate that often, and since meeting me he's also stopped watching porn. He also can't feel anything on his dick. Like the root of his penis is completely numb, and he can only feel something just below the head. So it could be nerve damage. When he was younger he thought he was asexual because of his disinterest in sex, so maybe he's just asexual. He has a high libido when he's with me, and likes the things we do as foreplay. I don't know how asexuality works though, so we'll have to read about it. Thank you so much for all the answers, didn't expect this post to blow up as much as it did, lol. Stories number 16. Am I overreacting for breaking off my engagement because of what my fiancé told my best friend's boyfriend? Long story short, last weekend 3 of my friends, 25F, 24M, and 27F, my fiancé, 24M, and I, 25F, went out to a club to celebrate my birthday. We all had a really good time and nothing unusual happened. However, yesterday both of my friends, 25F and 27F, sat me down to tell me something they have been hesitant to tell me. They told me that when we were at the club and us girls had gone to the restroom that my fiancé had told my friend's boyfriend, "Damn bro, there's a lot of fine girls here, I wish I could still mess around, but I'm with her right now." When I heard that I felt like someone had poured a bucket of ice cold water onto me. We have been having relationship problems lately, mostly because he never says I look nice anymore or he's not as affectionate anymore either, which has made me feel insecure in our relationship. I have open conversations with him about my feelings and he has yet to do something about it. After my friends told me, I had a few hours to calm down and think about it all. And once we were both home alone, I brought it up and told him I knew what he said. At first he denied it and said it was all made up, but then I said we could call them then to ask why they would make up such a thing, and he said he wouldn't do that because it's not worth his time. I asked if my feelings and our relationship wasn't worth his time to clear his name, and then he said he may have said it but doesn't remember. I don't believe him saying he doesn't remember saying it or that he wouldn't say it, because we have had issues in our relationship due to him constantly seeking out provocative women on Instagram, TikTok, etc., and would always deny it until I showed him proof. I'm considering breaking off the engagement because I don't want to marry someone who, even though made a commitment, even allows themselves to think about other women and messing around with them. The issue now is that we're moving states together in 2 days and I don't know how it will all work out since everything is packed and ready to go, new lease is signed and everything. For context, we got engaged in October and we have been dating since 2022. So, am I overreacting? Stories number 17. Need advice. How can we get through to my 21-year-old son that this 32-year-old single mom who has a stronghold on him isn't the one? My son is 21 and recently a 32-year-old woman he has known online for a few years showed up at the doorstep and has refused to return to her home state without my son accompanying her. We were open-minded about her at first, acknowledging that people are more than their circumstances, and I thought she might be an abuse victim or something. The more we have gotten to know her and about her as she's been staying with my family for the last couple weeks, waiting for my son to get his paycheck to buy them bus tickets to relocate to her home state, the more red flags we see and wonder my son doesn't see it. This woman has been married and divorced twice, 2 baby daddies and 4 kids all under the age of 8. She doesn't have custody of any of her kids. She refuses to bathe unless my son showers with her. She refuses to let him out of her sight except for when he goes to the bathroom. She has already made him block female friends of his whom he thought of as sisters and was close with. She wants him to cut his hair and get face piercings, which he doesn't want or like, and he loves his long hair. She refuses to do anything for herself, won't clean up after herself. My son is literally waiting on this grown-ass single mom, hand and foot. When dinner is being cooked, she forces my son against his own judgment to order DoorDash. He has gone through his entire savings buying DoorDash for her. She claims she can't work because of her anxiety. She has a suspended license, evictions on her record, more than one, and owes her mom child support money. And not to judge appearances, but if she was a hot woman with a nice body, I could at least understand he's attracted to the arm candy aspect of it. But her teeth are bright yellow, and her personal hygiene and neglect of putting any effort into her appearance, like she won't even brush her own hair. My sister saw my son brushing this woman's hair. We cannot get through to him that this is not healthy. He thinks he is in love. It's his first, real, relationship. First time he's having an active sex life. So I understand that is likely the appeal and only appeal, but really? This woman will not let him do the things he loves, like car shows, concerts, open mic nights. She hates the metal and punk music he likes and wants him to change his taste in music to hip-hop and Taylor Swift. She wants to control and change him. She is not even hiding this or being shy about it. Today he got his final check from the job he quit for his woman and bought their tickets to her home state, and I found out they are planning to stay with her ex-husband whom she just got divorced from in November 2024, and she claims is an abusive narcissist. What in the world, men? Please advise. Is this a lost cause and losing battle? Or can you please provide insight and advice as to how we can get through to him? I'm scared to death what mess or trouble this problematic woman is going to cause for him. Stories number 18. Moved into new house and next door's van keeps parking in front of it on my land. I've moved on to a new build estate and my house is at the end of a narrow road in the corner. I have neighbors to my right. My neighbor's boyfriend constantly parks his car on the road outside of my house, blocking the footpath to my home. However, it does not block my driveway. I feel I should add this for transparency. There is current confusion on what is my land. The land registry clearly draws the lines encompassing the part of the road outside of my house as my own property. However, the new build estate disputes this and claims it is a turning point, but importantly, also does not allow cars to park there at any time. Here's my issue: while I can park my car, guests cannot now. My dad is in a wheelchair and, because the van blocks my footpath, he's having to come from streets away and maneuver himself across my garden. Worse still, my neighbor could actually pull her car forward on her own drive and the van could fit behind. And, the van just chooses not to park outside of her house, but mine, presumably because he thinks it looks snug in the corner. I don't want to be that neighbor immediately after moving in, but I feel there's a precedent to be set here that he can't just do this because the previous owners presumably didn't care. In case you're struggling to picture this, the road is not a main road. Him parking there is very claustrophobic and within a few feet of my living room window, so it feels intrusive. What do you think? Totally open to being told to get a grip if I'm being the asshole. Stories number 19. Just found out today what a cryptic pregnancy is and I'm horrified. So I 19F, a senior in high school, found out what a cryptic pregnancy is through a classmate. Short rundown of the story. Back in freshman year I knew this girl. We would smoke weed a lot. We would skip/cut class to smoke. We'd smoke before school and after school. I don't anymore, but I didn't see after winter break and never saw her for the remainder of the school year and sophomore-junior year. Fast forward today, she's in the bathroom crying, so I was concerned and asked her what's wrong. She told me how she had a kid and a few things is wrong with her kid. She didn't tell me much, but she told me gave birth during winter break and left school. I was horrified. She didn't know she was pregnant. Her pregnancy test was saying negative. She had no bump, no morning sickness, no stomach pain, no nothing. She said the only thing was that she ate more than usual and binged a lot, which she thought was normal. She has a eating disorder where she'd binge for months at a time. All she told me that she had a premature baby which was in the NICU for a while. Currently the baby is now 2. But that just horrified me, especially how much of a dumbass we were in freshman year. Stories number 20. Husband 45 midlife crisis. We have been married over 20 years, he's 45. I have been busy with the adult kids and grandkids, he's been busy with a coworker that's 20 years younger. Only on the phone, talking and sending TXTs and other things, he's put us in debt $20,000 buying her gifts and giving her money, the past year on, off. She has another boyfriend that's married and works there too. My husband is devastated after he has realized what he's been doing, he breaks down daily because of the pain he has caused me. Says he was in like a fog, nothing he told her was true, she doesn't even know who he really is, he made up a whole new life that he has. She knew about me though. He's going to counseling and trying to get help to figure out how he let this happen, and he swears I'm the love of his life and he don't know how he let this get so out of control. I guess I'm asking, is this normal for a midlife crisis? Our marriage now is better than ever, we both were neglecting each other, and we realized that. Stories number 21. People need to stop self-diagnosing and saying they're autistic. You're not autistic just because you're socially awkward, or because you have a favorite fork in your kitchen drawer, heard this one today, or because you have a hobby obsession, or because to insert random personality quirk you deem autistic. People with autism have legitimate problems that affect their lives. Many don't adequately talk until they're 5 to 6, if at all. Many have sensory stimulus issues that get in the way of being able to have a normal life. Many have learning disabilities, severe ADHD or severe anxiety. Many have an inability to read emotional cues and understand a situation. It's not a QWERTY personality trait. I understand it's a spectrum, and there are definitely people who lead normal lives who are autistic. I've ran into several that probably were in my life. A lot of those people are a product of getting a diagnosis and early intervention. And in those cases that didn't go diagnosed, a lot of them had severe learning curves when they were children in school and their social lives just to get to where they seem more normal. Just to clarify, no, I'm not autistic. My son is mid-moderate, and so is my niece, severe. Both have severe speech delays and communication deficits. And I find it a little insulting and ignorant when people so flippantly throw out the term autistic just because they want to give themselves a label. Edit. I just wanted to say, I'm definitely not trying to belittle people who believe they might be autistic and just never had a chance to be diagnosed. There are a ton of people who are actually autistic and not diagnosed. It's mainly the people who go around using it as a label, or pick out one or two things they do and extrapolate it to autism. Stories number 22. Aita for suing my brother over a family heirloom he gave to his fiancée. I come from a family where heirlooms mean a lot. Our grandmother left us an antique diamond necklace that's been passed down for generations to the first daughter in the family. Since I'm the only daughter of this generation, it was supposed to come to me. My brother claimed grandma told him in private that it should go to him instead because he's the most responsible. I didn't want to cause drama, so I let it go, even though it felt unfair. Last week, I saw on social media that my brother gave the necklace to his fiancée as an engagement gift. She posted a picture wearing it with the caption, "Feeling like royalty with my new family heirloom." I confronted my brother and reminded him the necklace was meant to stay in the family. He said, "She is family now. Don't be petty." When I asked for it back, he refused, saying it would ruin their engagement. I decided to take legal action to get the necklace back. Now my brother is furious and calling me selfish. My parents think I'm overreacting, but some extended family members are on my side, saying he never had the right to give it away. His fiancée even messaged me, calling me a jealous drama queen and telling me to find my own man to buy me jewelry. The whole thing has caused a family feud, and now my brother and his fiancée are threatening to uninvite me from the wedding. Aita for taking this to court over a necklace that was supposed to be mine. Update, Aita for suing my brother over a family heirloom he gave to his fiancée. Wow, I wasn't expecting this much attention on my post. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts and advice. I wanted to give an update because things have escalated and there's some new context. First, I talked to my parents about the situation. It turns out my brother didn't just take the necklace, he convinced my dad that grandma told him it was meant for him because she thought a man would be more responsible. My dad, trying to avoid conflict, handed it over without asking questions. So no, my dad didn't intentionally give it to him, it was manipulation. I also reached out to other family members who remember grandma's clear wishes that the necklace was supposed to go to the first daughter. They're willing to back me up if this goes to court. My dad has also agreed to speak on my behalf in court, clarifying that he never meant to give the necklace away permanently. As for the legal side, I've consulted with my lawyer, who thinks I do have a case. Since there's no will, it all comes down to proving that the necklace was meant to stay in the maternal line. It's tricky, but I feel more confident now knowing I have some family members on my side. My brother and his fiancée, however, have doubled down. They've accused me of being jealous, and his fiancée posted another passive-aggressive picture on social media wearing the necklace, captioning it, "Some things just find their rightful home." It's honestly infuriating. At this point, I'm committed to fighting for the necklace, even if it causes more tension in the family. I'll keep you updated if there are any major developments. Update 2, Aita for suing my brother over a family heirloom he gave to his fiancée. Hi everyone, here's the latest update. My court date is set for the 27th and I've been doing everything I can to prepare. Honestly, this whole process has been so overwhelming emotionally, mentally, and financially. I never expected that standing up for what's right would come with such a heavy price. I've had to dip into my savings to cover legal fees, which has been stressful, but I can't back down now. The good news is my dad has agreed to testify on my behalf. He's been reflecting on everything and realizes now that my brother manipulated him by claiming that grandma wanted him to have the necklace. My aunt is also supporting me and has shared specific moments where grandma talked about how the necklace was supposed to go to me. Having them both on my side is giving me hope. Meanwhile, my brother and his fiancée are making things even messier. She actually brought the necklace to a family dinner recently wearing it like a trophy. She didn't say anything directly, but the way she was flaunting it felt like a calculated move to provoke me. My mom told me to just let it go after that incident, but how can I when it's so clear they're doing this to spite me? I don't know, sometimes it feels like my mom is supporting my brother. She's been really quiet about all of this. The emotional toll of this fight has been huge, but I'm trying to stay strong. This isn't just about the necklace, it's about honoring my grandmother's wishes and standing up for myself in a family that has always prioritized my brother over me. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me here. Your encouragement has been such a lifeline during this difficult time. I'll update you all after the court date on the 27th. Stories number 23. Aita for controlling what my 23F boyfriend 24M eats. Throw away because I don't want him to find this, but I'm honestly at my wit's end here. I, 23F, have been dating my boyfriend, Jake, 24M, for 4 years. I'd say we're a happy couple overall, but lately this argument has come up that's divided us. He's always had unique tastes. Cereal with orange juice instead of milk, mayo and butter sandwiches, and raw onions have been the worst culprits. I've put up with these, we all have our quirks, right? Well, 2 weeks ago he started eating garlic as his midnight snack, raw cloves of garlic. I can't share a drink with him without it reeking of garlic somehow. And kissing him. It's like shoving a clove straight in your mouth. He swears he's only eating them because he didn't want them to go to waste, and that he would stop once he finished a head of garlic, but just when I finally thought it was over I caught him sneaking a second one into the kitchen last night when he thought I was asleep. I confronted him about his secret grocery trip this morning and he got really defensive and denied it. I'm trying not to be a nag here, but it's really wearing on me. The garlicky aura surrounding him makes me want to avoid him at all costs. But I don't want to do that because he's my boyfriend. Aita for giving him an ultimatum of no more eating garlic. Edit for context, his diet seems healthy overall and he goes to the gym a lot. He had a DR's appointment not long ago and I don't think anything came up. But I can ask him to go again. Sorry if the title is confusing, I just feel bad because I did give him an ultimatum this morning which I know isn't good. I really love him and don't want to break up, but I just don't know what to do. He hasn't come back since this morning. Comments. I tried to explain when I talked to him this morning. I told him that the other weird food combos don't really bother me, but the particular smell of this is too much. He said that I just need more time to get used to it, but it's been nearly 2 weeks already. Somebody said to eat raw garlic to not smell it anymore. I tried that too when he first started. I ate a bite just to see if it was actually good. But I just can't bring myself to eat anymore. He's not talking to me since this morning, but I'll try texting him tomorrow about a doctor's appointment. Sorry if I wasn't clear, when we argued this morning I did tell him that I couldn't be with him if he kept doing it. He just turned it on me and said that I'll get used to it, but also that he didn't buy any more. I'm just so confused. He's usually not like this. Besides the occasional, unique, food choice, I think his diet's pretty healthy. He eats his vegetables and gets protein and all that, and he goes to the gym. We haven't been going on our usual dates for the past 2-ish months and he's had to leave to take calls a bit, but that's just because he's been swamped at work. Nothing weird, his busy season is almost over though, which is good. Update. Thank you all for your advice yesterday. It gave me a lot to think about. As it turns out, some of your comments ended up being spot on. Yesterday evening, I tried texting him about seeing a doctor like you guys suggested. He never replied. I guess he still has me muted. I spent the night tossing and turning. I kept going over what I was going to say to him when he got home. Not that it mattered, because he didn't come back last night. That worried me, so this morning I checked his location. He stopped sharing it with me through his phone, but I guess he forgot I can still see it on Snapchat. It showed him about 30 minutes away at some house off a random backroad. I was pretty confused and honestly panicked. All his friends that I know of live in the city. I tried to call him again and was sent to voicemail, so I drove over there to see what was up. When I got to the house, I noticed a woman about my age gardening in the front yard. I was pretty upset already, so I flat out asked her if she had seen my partner. She seemed surprised and asked if I meant Jake. She invited me inside and there he was. Apparently, she's into gardening and they met at her stand last fall when he went to stock up on onions at our local farmer's market. They hit it off and have been seeing each other for the past 6 months, and made it official back when his busy season started. She said lately she's been giving Jake the garlic she grew last summer since it's going to go bad soon. That's why he was so insistent on eating it by himself instead of cooking it into a shared dish like normal, and why he's been eating onions like an apple instead of letting me use them on my sandwiches. He didn't want to give me her presents because, in his own words, she grew it with love for me, and, if you ate them you would have known. At that point I saw red, so I just left. Since then Jake's been blowing up my phone about how we can fix this and that he won't do it again, but I'm so over it at this point. Just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse, while I was moving his stuff to the curb I found his stash of garlic. Shoved in the back of his closet was 1 pound of garlic in a Home Depot bucket along with letters she had written him. I'm keeping the garlic. Don't think we can ever come back from his cheating, but I'm going to at least get some good meals out of this terrible situation. Please send me your favorite recipes to use the garlic in. I need a distraction to keep my mind off of everything. Update 2. I have a ton of extra garlic. What recipes can I cook with it? Want to be rid of it as soon as possible. Thank you. Most people tell them to mince and freeze it or to pickle it. Comments. All these comments made me think about how this must have been for the farmer, so much so that I reached out to her today. I might have drunkenly found her on Insta the night Jake dumped me. Not my proudest moment. I can see what he saw in her. She's sweet as can be and was apparently just as blindsided by his cheating as I was. We got to talking, and she even offered to help with my goodbye garlic dinner that I've been planning for this weekend using some of the recipes I've seen. I'm honestly a bit nervous to be face to face with her just because of how much this whole thing has hurt me, but I might take her up on it. Stories number 24. Aita for telling my sister no to taking in her kids. Me, 35, and my husband, 37, have been married for 3 years. We do not have children, nor have we ever wanted children. We love our child-free life. My sister, 32, has 3 girls. 13, 9, and 7. I love them very much, but I've never been the aunt that wants them to spend the night or spend time more than a couple hours with them. They stress me out, all kids do lol. My sister is an addict and my niece's dad is currently in prison. Their grandma, who is also my mother but I have no contact with, has guardianship of them. That story we'll save for another post. My sister, who comes in and out of the girls' lives, has had nothing to do with me. Once in a while she'll reach out and say hi, but that's more like 2 times a year. Even though I reach out once a week. Anyways, long story short, it's a very toxic family environment and me and my husband just stick to ourselves. Recently, the place they have all been living at has been sold and they were told in November they have until January 31st to be out. So today, January 23rd, they had my 13-year-old niece call me and tell me they're not going to have anywhere to live if I don't take them in. Yes, they had the 13-year call me and say that. What to do? I don't want to change up mine and my husband's life. I love the way our life is. I'm so mentally drained. I don't want the responsibility and don't feel like it's mine, but I also feel guilty. I've been doing this for years, dealing with others' messes. Both my parents were addicts and it's the same toxic cycle with my sister. Stories number 25. Aita for not wanting to be friends with my sister. My sister, 29, and I, 27, are complete opposites. She is a very religious, type A Marine and I'm an agnostic, open-minded animal shelter manager. We've never been close, but she's been trying to be my friend for the last couple of years and I keep rejecting it. Every time I give her a chance, she will at least say one offensive thing that instantly makes me dislike her. For example, she has said 1, anxiety is a fake thing Gen Z has made up to excuse their laziness. I have diagnosed generalized anxiety disorder. 2, asking me in detail about a traumatic experience that happened to me in college. 3, saying I rely on mom and dad for everything, don't even get me started. It's always something out of nowhere that pisses me off. I don't understand why she says unhinged things when she's trying to be my best friend. She pushes me to answer deep personal questions, the first time I've had sex, if I've done drugs, etc., that I don't want to share with her, and she tries to push her religion on me. This isn't to say she's a terrible person. She always answers my phone calls and is there if I need her. She tries to plan things with me, but one out-of-pocket comment just makes me not want to become close or spend time with her. So basically, am I the asshole for refusing a relationship that she's trying for, or am I just being sensitive? Stories number 26. He makes me prove everything. Yesterday my fiancé FaceTimed me so that I could show him what I was going to make him for dinner, like what I bought with the money he gave me. I did and he just stared at me. I asked him what was wrong and he asked where I was. I was literally at our house. He said there were popcorn ceilings behind my head and we don't have those. I was confused and said those were our ceilings and he said, show me then, and I did. He said I was being smart with him and he didn't want to get into a fight about something when he's already dealing with a lot at work. I was confused and he hung up on me. He did the same thing last week when he said there were 2 phones in a Snapchat I sent him of me and my dog. Yes, we use Snapchat still but only occasionally. There wasn't and it was just the mirror behind me making it look like that. He didn't believe me and made me prove it. He said it looked like I had a secret phone or something. Once again, I was confused. What am I doing wrong? I need advice, I don't get it. Stories number 27. My husband suspects I'm an alcoholic but he keeps enabling me. Title. I mean, he definitely knows I'm an alcoholic. I drink at least 2 bottles of wine per day. He brought up that we're drinking too much, we should cut down. He doesn't drink as much as me, we meant me. So I was actually pretty excited and optimistic about not drinking. Until he arrived home with alcohol and my heart sank. It's a regular pattern. He makes me feel bad about my alcohol use, I get on board about sobriety, he comes home with a large quantity of alcohol and then he judges me for drinking it. I thought it would be different this time but I felt so sad when he walked through the door with booze. Is he doing this on purpose? Why make a big deal of making me feel bad for my alcohol use and then keep bringing alcohol into the house? Stories number 28. Feeling awful about sister-in-law's bachelorette plans. Last year, my brother's fiancée asked me to be her bridesmaid, which I was excited about since I've never had a sister. They had an unplanned baby, postponed the wedding to August, and her sister-in-law, Carrie, offered to plan the baby shower and bachelorette. Originally, the bachelorette was going to be local-ish, but Carrie planned an extravagant weekend in a nearby city. The itinerary includes an expensive show, 2 nights of clubbing, one with a $1,250 plus booth rental, shopping, and a spa day. I've already paid for my train tickets and Airbnb but didn't expect such costly plans for a weekend, especially a booth rental, plus drinks. The booth rentals range from the cheapest being $500, most expensive being around $1,250, plus we require to order a bottle with that. I asked my sister-in-law if clubbing both nights was what she wanted, since this was first mentioned by Carrie on our group chat with just us 3, and shared that I'm on a tight budget, but was hoping to get insight on what type of table she wanted to get, so I can prepare for it financially within the next 2 months. She said, I love you, but honestly Carrie graciously offered to plan the bachelorette since I'm busy with a newborn baby, planning a wedding, and being a business owner, and I have to step out otherwise I'll be stressed, and told me to ask Carrie instead. She then added that my finances made her uncomfortable. I feel awful, I was just trying to prepare and support her. I don't know how to handle this. Any advice? Edit 1, thanks everyone for your input. I have since listened and cancelled. I do regret letting my brother know the situation, since it started a huge discussion between the 2 of us, that led to him raising his voice, and me crying and apologizing. I sent a cancellation message cause I'm a coward and was feeling emotional, but did stand up for myself and remind him he cannot raise his voice or speak to me in a demeaning way. I simply could not afford to go. This was my text. Hey, fiancé, sorry this has to be through text but I don't want to hold you back from your bachelorette or the weekend. I wish I could tell you in person or on the phone, but am a little emotional for it to be productive. It hurts me to say, I have to cancel the weekend in city, but please DW about the Airbnb money, or anything. I want you to enjoy your weekend, and don't want to put any burden on you, especially about my finances. I want to be able to spoil you on your actual wedding day and the celebration. I know, Carrie, and the sisters will make your weekend so special. And her response, please do not spoil me on my wedding day. I've actually decided I don't want any gifts at all. Especially since you are so strapped, I don't want to put any more pressure on you. What I wanted more than anything was a weekend in MTL with my bridesmaids to celebrate, but you have clearly made your choice. I'm sure you are doing what is right for you. Thanks for letting me know. It wasn't a text that was good to read, and I can't help but look into it deeply. It felt passive-aggressive, and I feel like I have a bit of resentment to them both. I'm hoping some time will allow us to be a family again, since it was never my intention to make them upset, or make a stink. Thank you for your help. Stories number 29. Aita for refusing to meet my mother after she accused me of being in love with my stepfather. English isn't my first language. I, 21F, have always had a good relationship with my mother, 46F, and that didn't change after my parents divorced for personal reasons. However, things took a turn when my stepfather, 37M, entered our lives. My mother has always been a bit eccentric, but she was never hurtful, and she always made sure my older sister, 23F, and I felt loved. That changed when she started dating my stepfather. While I got along with him and he respected my privacy, my mother started acting differently. At first, it was subtle things like, "You two spend a lot of time together," and "You're getting really friendly." I brushed it off, mostly because I didn't thought much of it. My stepfather and I only spent time together when I visited my mom. Yes, we joked around, but it was harmless and never inappropriate, jokes like, "Looking like death today, huh?" We never got physical, never poked each other or other playful touches, as I do not feel comfortable with being touched for personality reasons, and he always been respectful. As time passed, my mother's comments became more aggressive. I started to distance myself from both of them to avoid ruining the good relationship we had, though I didn't know what I was doing wrong. One day, my mother invited me over for coffee and cake, and during our conversation, she suddenly asked if I had feelings for my stepfather. I was caught off guard, shocked, and mostly confused. I told her no and asked why she thought that. She said it was because we were too close to just be friends, and she noticed the way he looked at me. I reassured her that, while we got along well, I only saw him as a father figure and didn't feel anything romantic toward him. I also reminded her that she'd always wanted us to get along. But then she got angry, accusing me of lying and insisting she wasn't blind. The conversation escalated, and I stood up, telling her that the whole thing was ridiculous. I left, and she began texting me things like, "I can't believe my own daughter would betray me," among other hurtful things. I didn't respond and talked to my older sister about it. She advised me to not engage with our mother for a while, saying that she thought our mom was acting completely out of character. So, I took her advice and stopped visiting and talking to my mother. It's been 2 months of no contact, and today I received a message from her asking if we could meet up to talk about what happened. I'm torn because, on one hand, I don't really want to meet her after everything that's happened, but on the other hand, I'd like to resolve things and hear her side. Aita for not wanting to meet her. Stories number 30. My husband, M23, had the thought to tell me, F21, to go kill myself. What is my next move on this situation? As you can tell, the title seems messed up as is. So on Tuesday, January 21st, my husband and I get into a stupid argument. We had to wake up at 3 a.m. because his grandmother needed to go to the surgical hospital for surgery. Well, as we sit in the parking lot waiting on the surgery to be done, we argue about him not getting up on time and me not getting him up earlier, as well as being rude about it. He then says, "Sorry for ruining your morning." I ask him, "Why do you have to say it with sarcasm or anything? You could just say sorry for not getting up on time and I'm sorry being rude to you." He went silent. He only does it when he has nothing else to say to me. I climb into the back of my car to take a nap, and before I do I hear him hit his head against the plastic part of my door. I ask him, "Why did you hit your head?" He replies, "Because a stupid thought came to mind and I hit my head for it." I ask him what it is and he doesn't want to tell me. After going back and forth on that, he finally says, "Fine, the thought that came to mind was go kill yourself." It was directed to me when that thought came to mind. For days I've been at a loss, not knowing how to react or feel. I'm on the fence of divorce. I've been with him for a total of 7 years. On one hand, I want to leave because that thought, even if he meant to think it or not, still happened. The other hand, I'm scared of starting over and I want to start a family with someone. What is my next move from this situation? Stories number 31. Wibta if I tell my wedding planner friend what her assistant did at my wedding, not the a-hole. Hey y'all. Throwaway, so I'ma try to be quick with here. I am 27F and married my best friend 28M about a month ago. One of my good friends is a wedding planner and I used her company for the coordinating. She was a guest at the wedding but had 3 other people from her company work with my husband and I. They were amazing. The whole wedding went perfectly, not a single complaint about the job the company did. One of the assistants was this guy who looked to be about my age. I didn't give it much thought. This past weekend, I hung out with my friend Clara, 25F. This is the first time we are seeing each other since my wedding. Clara told me a funny story about my wedding. She said a few days after my wedding she received an Instagram follow message from someone she didn't know. The gist of the message was that it was from the assistant coordinator at my wedding. He pretty much said that he was working and couldn't say anything, but he noticed her at the wedding and thought she was really beautiful and he wanted to ask her on a date. She asked how he found her and he proudly said that he noticed her, looked up the seating chart of the table she was seated at for dinner, and looked up every girl at the table until he found her. She said she wasn't comfortable with that and blocked him. She told me it was funny in hindsight, but at the time she was a little uncomfy. Clara did emphasize to me she didn't think it was a big deal. Would I be an asshole if I told my wedding planner friend about what happened? She will most likely report him to the head of the company and maybe he will or maybe he won't be fired. I don't know if I'm being vindictive or not. It doesn't sit right that we paid a guy to do a job and he ended up stalking and DMing my friend. Stories number 32. My BF has a problem. I, 22, really need advice because I genuinely don't know what to do. My BF, 27, and I have been together for 3 years. I went through his phone because I had this weird feeling something was off. He's been being really distant, leaving at weird hours and really secretive with his phone. He's had addiction/alcohol problems in the past, but I thought we had worked through it. He's also been having pretty bad financial issues recently, so I thought maybe he's just been stressed or something. But when I went through his phone I found out he's been spending $1,000 plus a month on Snowflake. I was stunned and had no idea. I feel really blindsided and hurt but also extremely worried about him. I don't know how to bring it up or what to do. We are supposed to be saving for our futures together and I really want us both to be happy and healthy. I know his family has also been noticing that things are weird with him too. I don't know if I should tell them or talk to him first. I'm just scared if I don't handle it the right way it could get worse or he'll just hide it more from me instead of getting help. Stories number 33. Aita for laughing at a customer. This happened to me yesterday at work and it's something I will never forget. I work at an animal shelter and I had a customer come in who I remembered from a few weeks ago. A man who had adopted this cat named Nelson. I remember this because Nelson was one of the few cat we listed as sensitive, so we know to keep them in a private room where they won't be bothered by crazy younger cats, because he came from a home where there was trauma. Due to this he is extremely skittish and can misbehave on occasion. The man came in with Nelson in the carrier and came to the front desk asking to talk to our manager and that he had a complaint. I asked him what the complaint was but he insisted he wanted to talk to the manager, Alan, who helped him pick Nelson out. It takes me a few minutes to find Alan because we are all generally all over the place here and when we come back Alan asks the guy what the issue is the cat sick or did it hurt you etc. general things we ask when people roll up trying to return a pet. In most cases we can work it out and make sure the animal doesn't have to be returned. I stuck around because I wanted to hear why this guy was trying to return the cat because I'm nosy. He said he refuses to listen to any order I give him. Alan and I were a little puzzled and asked what he meant. Alan said, well we don't his full training history but most cats know the general word no because of the tone behind it, have you tree. The guy cut him off and said he is choosing not to listen to me. I told him the rules when we got home and he has ignored every single one. The guy went on a rant saying how the cat was told to use a little box but he pissed on the floor multiple times, how he told the cat to not go into the spare room but he still does and so on. Right then it clicked to me. This guy thinks the cat understands what he is saying. I asked him, wait, do you think the cat can understand you? Like he understands the words you say to him. The man tilted his head at me and looked at me like I was an idiot and said, he is choosing not to. That's the fucking issue. I couldn't help it, I busted out laughing so hard I almost teared up. That's just never anything I've ever heard of, someone genuinely thinking animals can understand what a human was saying like they were also human. Long story short, I was told to leave the room by Alan who figured out the issue and I did kind of feel like a dick after because I guess the guy had never had a pet before and hadn't really been around animals other than a few well-trained dogs and he legit thought animals could understand you. My boss wasn't mad at me at all, but told me I acted very unprofessional, which I do agree to some extent. I don't think I was an ass, but I know I should have made not laughed so hard. I was on kennel duty the next 2 days. I shouldn't have laughed in front of him but damn I couldn't help it. Edit. The cat was returned but in this case it seems to be the best outcome. Also, shelters aren't always the worst situation for an animal. We love our babies at our shelter. Not case for all though. Edit 2. I will update when he finds his forever home. I would take him myself but I have a 13-year-old cat and a 2-year-old lab so it's not the ideal household for the lil guy. Comments by OOP. He's a great cat when one-on-one and would be really good in a quiet, single-person household. I have high hopes he will as we are making him Animal of the Week. Most shelters don't have background checks or anything. That's a rescue center. We are also very small 10/13 dogs at a time typically and 3 rooms for cats. Someone wants the animal, they can usually get it that day unless the animal is on medicine or just had surgery or hasn't been added to the system yet. Yeah, I'm not trying to bash the place, but I adopted my cat before working here and I adopted him after 30 minutes. All I had to do was fill out a paper and boom, he was mine. We try and make them fill out more papers now and get copy of their license and so on, but we are small and usually all adopters are locals. We do a 30-day per check where you bring the animal in to get a free checkup and we get to see how the pet is doing. We make any adopter sign a contract saying the animals can't be given away or sold. It's about 3 pages long. I agree and feel bad about it. If he comes in again, he told my boss he still wanted to find an animal, I'm going to apologize but also educate him on animals. No, the guy wasn't a weirdo or anything at all. He just didn't understand animals. That's totally valid and I wish I could have held my laugh in to be able to educate him a little. He is still interested in adopting and my boss has a scheduled appointment to help him find a better match cat and also help him understand their species more. I'm thinking he's just a bit of a loner and I would hate for him to be all alone, you know. Everyone deserves a pet. After going into work today, my boss said the guy didn't leave mad and found some humor in it after my boss explained to him that sometimes well-trained dogs can understand their commands because of repetition and training but animals can't understand full conversations and stuff like that. The guy agreed that what he said was off the wall and even laughed before making another appointment for a one-on-one pet visit. I agree. I posted an update on the situation because I didn't ask what happened after I left the room. TLDR, the guy wasn't mad and even found humor in it and made a one-on-one visit for next week to come find a cat. Not a weird guy, just a recluse type who hasn't been around animals. I think his misunderstanding is valid. It's hard. I adopted my cat as an adult. He was a grumpy orange tabby who was impossibly fat. The minute I saw him I knew I needed him. That was about 5 years ago. I adopted my black lab a year ago as a puppy because I really wanted to train him. I feel a little bad about adopting a puppy. BC, they are the ones to go first, but I am planning on adopting a 3 to 6 year old dog in the next few months. If I lived in a big house I would have all the animals. I don't plan on having kids, I'm only 24 though, and adopting a bunch of animals instead. At the rate our planet is deteriorating, if bringing kids into it is the best idea personally. Lots of fur babies in need anyways. I'm saying that's the difference between shelters and rescues and that's why they are two separate things. Shelters do not conduct interviews like rescues do. You fill forms out and take the animal same day. Rescues can take up to months to get passed after all inspection. If someone has a red flag then they won't be able to adopt the animal and will need it to be evaluated, but that's rare. Update. Good news ladies and gents. Some of you may remember my previous post, if not read it. BC, it's hilarious and has a cute cat. The news, our boy Nelson has found his forever home. He got adopted 8 days ago and I've been waiting, so see if it stuck before posting. Nelson become a top priority to adopt out as he was one of our most difficult but favorite cats we took care of. He become pet of the month and got the attention of an older gentleman who came in, get this, with a printed out copy of our Facebook post. It was very adorable of him. This man automatically took us as a great candidate for Nelson, since he was an experienced cat owner. He had a bit of a sad story. His wife passed last year and their 18-year-old tabby passed away 4 months ago. He was very lonely and wanted to get a new friend but didn't want to get a young cat. He is older and doesn't have the energy to take care of a demanding cat. Nelson was absolutely perfect. I have seen very heartwarming moments with pets and their new families, but this one was a top. As you guys may remember, Nelson is a cranky asshole that you can't help but love. He's not really nice and he is standoffish, but I shut you not, when we brought him into the meeting room he pranced over to the man and hopped up onto his lap. My jaw almost hit the floor. After 30 minutes if Nelson going ape shit over this man, he was adopted and went off to his new home. The man has sent us photos and updates of Nelson since then and it seems to be going very well. I guess he speaks cat. I won't be posting photos as the man is in them and you know, I'm trying to not get in trouble at work again. Thank you guys for being Nelson's biggest fans and I'm so stoked that both of them got a happy ending together. Edit. Wow. Thank you for the gold and for being such kind people. We need people like you all in this world. Comments by OOP. It was the best day ever seeing how he came out of his shell. He was just waiting for the right person. Rule-free home. He said in a message, Nelson rules the roost. It was so wholesome and hilarious. Like he printed the whole webpage, not even just the post. I loved this guy from the start.